10 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's April 20th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is National Lookalike Day. Some believe the day started in the 1980s when a television reporter needed a lighthearted feature. He saw someone walking down the street who looked like Humphrey Bogart, so they asked him who he looked like. Then they asked a bunch of other people the same question and kept doing the story every year. Also on this day, the Deepwater Horizon oil rig exploded in 2010, killing 11 workers and becoming the largest accidental marine oil spill in history. In 1999, the Columbine High School shooting, 15 died and 24 others injured by the two teenagers who opened fire. And the radioactive element radium is discovered in 1902 by French couple Pierre and Marie Curie. They go on to win a physics Nobel Prize the following year for their research. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
What happens when a school is truly built around teenage girls? Their growth, their confidence, their faith, their future? You get bold young women who lead without hesitation, speak without fear, and discover exactly who they're meant to be. Rosary College Prep in Aurora is the only all-girls college prep high school in the western suburbs, and we've been doing this since 1962. We know how girls learn best. That's why our students thrive in STEM, the arts, and leadership at remarkable rates, even earning AP Platinum status from the College Board. At Rosary, your daughter won't just be educated. She'll be seen, challenged, and supported every single day. Girls here collaborate, inspire each other, and grow grounded in faith and driven by purpose. Come see it for yourself. Schedule a personal tour at rosaryprep.org. That's rosaryprep.org.
Let me ask you something. Does your garage floor look bad? Covered in salt, cracked, or stained from the winter's brutal blast? Well, I've got a fix for you so you can start enjoying your garage this spring. Contact my good friends at Level 10 Coatings. Level 10 brought my garage floor from dirty and gross to showroom, shiny new in just one day. Level 10 Coatings can do the same for you. A quick and easy fix, permanent durable solution. Guaranteed to never chip or peel. Get it done now so you can enjoy your garage this spring and summer. Schedule your free quote today and mention me, Amy, for $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com. Level10coatings.com or call 855-510-2628. Again, that's 855-510-2628. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Crosscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal. But if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneInc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneInc.com. Tech made personal, locally.
Hey, this is Sean Thompson. You know, most of us spend our entire lives in the paycheck mode. You work, you get 30% taken from the G, you pay your bills, repeat, and rinse. And that's how time goes by. Then all of a sudden you're old. Retirement hits. Suddenly, you're the one who has to figure out your paycheck that isn't there anymore. Markets are bumpy, prices are up, things can get stressful real fast. That's why having a real income plan matters. Tom Fortino and the team at Alpha Wealth Group can help you build a strategy to turn your hard-earned savings into a reliable retirement income. They coordinate with your Social Security and your tax planning so you can stop wondering if you're withdrawing the right amount at the right time. Tom Fortino and the people of Alpha Wealth Group have been doing this for 30 years. They can help you by giving you a complimentary retirement roadmap. And all you have to do is call 630-864-6711. That's 630-864-6711 or online at alphawealthgroup.com.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878. Scott Jennings fearlessly fights back against the mainstream media on the Scott Jennings podcast.
When Republicans have even a whiff of scandal, what do we hear? Resign, step down, zero tolerance. Where is the Democratic Party? Where is the outrage? Where is the moral clarity? What do we hear from cable news? Nothing.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
You need to be tuning into the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, the radio companion to the Amazon best-selling book, Success Blueprint, How to Build the Retirement You Deserve. Each week, Michael shares strategies designed to help reduce market risk through income-generating investments that can provide steady returns. Because if you can avoid a big loss, you don't need to take big risks. Catch the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, Saturday mornings at 10, right here on AM 560 The Answer.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Airrite Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available, financing is flexible, and at Airrite installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you and Airrite will give you $56 off any service. Visit Airrite Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Airrite Heating and Cooling, doing it right since 1959.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results, done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com, and schedule your free in-home consultation today.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $283. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, You need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Platform safety is critical at your commercial and industrial facility. Keeping people safe and meeting OSHA requirements isn't optional. That's why Vans Industrial offers free platform inspections by professional structural engineers who know exactly what to look for. Problems with platforms, ladders, or stairs can lead to costly fines or worse. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to protect people in your facility.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. With decades of experience, I bring long-standing industry knowledge from inspecting, correcting, and replacing countless platforms to make facilities safer. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor equipped to modify or replace steel catwalks, handrails, stairways, and ladders. Our union building trades professionals fabricate and install high-quality steel systems that create safer work environments.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free platform inspection by professional structural engineers. See what else we can do for you. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com.
What's the password? Is this Veto's Vault, where I can get a 5-star dinner and signature cocktails, see an amazing vaudeville-style musical comedy show with the gangsters and the flappers, all for one low price? Yeah? What's the password? I don't know, but I'm here to make a deposit. Well, why didn't you say so? Come on in.
Veto's Vault, Chicago's new Roaring 20s dinner theater speakeasy. For tickets, go to vitosvault.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 54. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 46. Tomorrow is expected to be pleasantly warm with periods of clouds and sunshine. An afternoon shower cannot be ruled out with a high of 74. Wednesday will also be pleasantly warm with partial sunshine and a high of 73. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I love it when communists work together. You know, you don't have this ugly competition for power. And so a wonderfully enlightened compromise was struck between the Chicago government school system and the Chicago government teachers, the Chicago government school teachers union. About May Day. You know, May Day, I mean, this is obviously their July 4th. So you want to have fun with it. The Chicago government schools teachers union had wanted to cancel classes on May 1. You know, so they could have their customary Marx Engels reader circles and discussion. Wanted to cancel classes. But the new CEO, Macklin King, she pushed back. New day in the Chicago government school system, clearly. And so what they did is they agreed to keep the school open, keep the schools open. So there will be school on May 1st. But what they'll do is the government schools, you, taxpayers, will provide buses and food so students can attend an afternoon rally and advance their study of central planning so that they can move forward in their burgeoning careers as apparatchiks. I mean, that's a compromise. That is that's how you get the results that CPS produces. The teachers and the union, management and labor working together. Isn't it a sight? 312-642-5600 is our alphawealthgroup.com answer line and text line if you want to give us a call or a text. That's inspired. It does call to mind the sort of compromises you see in D.C., as Malcolm Wallup, the former Wyoming senator, famously observed. The difference between Republicans and Democrats is if the Democrats introduce a bill to burn down the Capitol, Republicans would compromise and agree to phase it in over 3 years. That's sort of what we have going down in Chicago, phasing in the destruction of kids' education in a piecemeal fashion. It's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. The day of action in CPS, and I'm sure, by the way, focused on CBS, but I'm sure there will be May Day rallies, celebrations, days of action in some of those suburban government schools, too. Civic action in defense of public education, they wanted the day off. International Workers' Day, May Day, you know it. Jackson Potter, he is a dyed-in-the-wool communist. He's also the vice president of the Chicago Government Schools Teachers Union. If we still want to have a democracy in the midterms this November, public schools that provide our students with quality education and unions to defend workers' rights, then it is up to every Chicagoan to stand up for what we believe in and show the authoritarian billionaire in Washington that when he breaks every rule, we will not go along with business as usual. The Chicago Government Schools Teachers Union has spoken forcefully. And so the kids who, again, Stacey Davis Gates, the head of the union there, treats as her kids, they see other people's kids as their kids. They are under their charge in loco parentis, with the emphasis on loco. And so International Workers' Day, where workers of the world will unite in Chicago, will go off largely as planned. I just wanted to make you aware that there's no work stoppage, there's no disagreement, really, just how to accomplish what everybody wants to accomplish, both on the educrat side as well as on the union side. Happy days. Speaking of which, I found, I didn't find it. Dorothy Tucker, yeah, she's still alive. And she's still reporting for CBS 2 in Chicago. Because, the main qualification to hold a job in media in Chicago is that you hold the job. Yeah. Anyway, she reporting on billions and billions of dollars owed by residents to the city of Chicago, including a lot of government employees. I hope this doesn't in any way interrupt the plans for May Day festivities, the party favors and the complimentary books of the Marx Engels Reader, Das Kapital, and so forth. The canons of being a Chicago Politico. But, it's sort of a wild, the dollars we're talking about. Of course, we're guesstimating on the billions and billions because one of the problems with collecting is that the city of Chicago doesn't really know how much it's owed. And it's a real curious situation that the city is in such dire financial straits and has such a poor credit rating.
The report revealed antiquated systems and policies dating back decades that prevent the city's Department of Finance from tracking and collecting all of the money owed. The first finding, no one city department tracks the debt. The problem, different departments use different systems, and they don't talk to each other. For example, when people call paramedics and ambulances, they're supposed to pay the city's emergency medical services. The Department of Finance told OIG $327 million had not been collected. But investigators found a lot more. The total owed skyrocketed to $1.5 billion. DOF said it will work with other departments to make sure all outstanding debt is reported in the future. Finding 2. Lack of policies, strategies, and goals to collect the debt owed. One challenge noted is what CBS News Chicago investigators reported earlier this year. We discovered city employees and those who worked for sister agencies owed the city $23 million. The OIG report confirmed CPS and CTA employees owe the most. The city's comptroller addressed the city is already working to collect some of that money when we spoke with him in January.
The 20 million, about 7 million are on payment plans.
The third finding is that city debt impacts vulnerable communities the most. However, the OIG credited the city with making some changes to address the inequities. Bottom line, the OIG is saying there's no real way for the city, which faces huge budget deficits every year, to accurately count how much debt is owed and to collect it. The OIG recommended more investment in improving systems and updating policies.
Yeah, and more SEIU employees, too. More AFSCME employees. SEIU, AFSCME, I don't know, throw some teachers' unions employees in there, too. Certainly more staff to update those systems. And, you know, like, while you're at it, I mean, if we collectively, city residents, and businesses collectively owe $1 billion, you know, round numbers, because who really knows, not the city. And CTU and CPS represent only 23 million of that. Just come on. You know, like, just Biden it. Just forgive it. Socialize it to the rest of us. Those are our frontline public servants. People educating our kids and making the trains run something approximately on time. Delivering at least half the people who ride CTA to their destination alive. So, I mean, come on. Let's not penny pinch. Jim in LaGrange.
Jan, you know, this May 1st thing, if they're going to do it, they better do it right. I'm hoping everybody's got, you know, red flags with, you know, stickles on them and coordinated T-shirts and signage all on taxpayer dime, because if you're going to do it right, Dan.
That's exactly right. Thanks for the call, Jim. Yeah, we don't want any half measures. Right. I want to see full communism on display. Perhaps a military parade. Greg in Rogers Park.
Yeah, you know, maybe Cardinal Supich and Bishop Sullivan could promote St. Joseph the Worker Day so that people could go to church, pray for the dignity of work, real entrepreneurial spirit like St. Joseph was, as an honest carpenter that didn't try to cheat the taxpayers, raise his family in dignity. And we can honor that instead of this Marxist marches downtown. You know, go to church, pray, and show the real value of fatherhood and decent manhood.
Well, yeah, thanks for the call, Greg. I mean, that's a capital idea in a city that was civilized, but yeah, I mean, the holy water burns Stacey Davis Gates' skin, so I don't know if that's going to work. By the way, interesting study out just talking about teachers. They're underpaid, you know. And you pay better salaries, particularly in a union environment, and you get better student outcomes. That's how it goes. You track talent, you get better outcomes, right? A new working paper out, I think pending peer review, but nonetheless, from a egghead at the World Bank, as well as a couple of eggheads, one from University of Amsterdam, the other from UCSD, University of California, San Diego. How does a large unconditional increase in salary affect employee performance in the public sector? We present the first experimental evidence on this question in the context of a unique policy change in Indonesia that led to a permanent doubling of base teacher salaries. Permanent doubling of these salaries. We find the doubling of pay significantly improved teacher satisfaction with their income. Oh, that is a remarkable conclusion. you're paying me twice what I was making to do the same job. I am more satisfied with what I'm making. Yes. It also reduced the incidence of teachers holding outside jobs and reduced self-reported financial stress. Those all stand to reason. How about this? After 2 and 3 years, the doubling of the pay had no impact whatsoever on student learning outcomes. Because you remember, that's the point. Sometimes we forget that. Golly. And it didn't really produce a significant improvement in teacher effort. However, that exactly was measured. Hours worked. I mean, regardless of the effort, the student outcomes didn't improve. You doubled salary. Maybe it has something to do with the way the whole system is set up and how incentives are presented. Maybe if you incentivize the ability to double your salary as opposed to just doubling it to do the same job. Golly. Something to pour over with the kiddies on May Day. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. It is 35 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A rideshare driver was hijacked and robbed early Sunday morning. Police say the driver was approached by 3 men who entered his vehicle in the Logan Square area. The armed suspects robbed the driver, then kicked him out of the car, escaping with it. Police say a vehicle similar to the rideshare driver's stolen vehicle was seen during an attempted armed robbery about a half an hour later. It's unknown if those crimes are connected. And a United flight that took off from Chicago's O'Hare International Airport on Saturday morning was forced to land in Pittsburgh after pilots reported hearing a sequential beeping on board. Pilots asked for the diversion, treating the beeping as a possible bomb threat. The plane was met by law enforcement upon landing in Pittsburgh. Passengers evacuated the plane on slides. All 159 passengers and 6 crew members exited the plane safely. This report is a service of Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlowe, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Firago, the immune enhancement cocktail.
What happens when a school is truly built around teenage girls? Their growth, their confidence, their faith, their future? You get bold young women who lead without hesitation, speak without fear, and discover exactly who they're meant to be. Rosary College Prep in Aurora is the only all-girls college prep high school in the western suburbs, and we've been doing this since 1962. We know how girls learn best. That's why our students thrive in STEM, the arts, and leadership at remarkable rates, even earning AP Platinum status from the College Board. At Rosary, your daughter won't just be educated. She'll be seen, challenged, and supported every single day. Girls here collaborate, inspire each other, and grow grounded in faith and driven by purpose. Come see it for yourself. Schedule a personal tour at rosaryprep.org. That's rosaryprep.org.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 54. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 46. Tomorrow, expect pleasantly warm weather with periods of clouds and sunshine. An afternoon shower may occur with a high of 74. Wednesday will also be pleasantly warm with partial sunshine and a high of 73. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So a little bit of Groundhog Day on this Monday. Sort of in the same place we were at the beginning of last week, which is Iran is on the clock. And the bombings will continue if morale does not improve. And the indicia of improved morale will be the Iranians signing on to the deal that President Trump has basically presented as a take it or leave it. The major component parts being no nukes, return of, well, a recovery of the enriched uranium, the so-called nuclear dust, as the president terms it. The straits open and no more piracy, as we saw spill out over the weekend. And no more sponsorship of terrorist proxies in the region. Sign it or else is basically the offer, as Trey Yingst, correspondent for Fox News, reported over the weekend.
But the president did tell me they're not going to make the same mistakes of the Obama administration in terms of releasing cash to the Iranians that could be used to then funnel back into the IRGC military programs, their ballistic missile program, and even whatever is left of the nuclear program. The bottom line here is the focus is related to Iran's nuclear program and that highly enriched uranium that was buried in the aftermath of Operation Midnight Hammer. The agreement on the table would involve Iran giving up that enriched uranium, opening the Strait of Hormuz, and stopping their support of regional proxies. And the president said that is the agreement that they must sign, and if they do not sign, this war will resume. I just spoke with President Trump for about 20 minutes, and he told me if Iran does not sign this deal, the whole country is getting blown up. He went on to say that bridges and power plants will be targeted if Iran does not sign this agreement.
So that was Yanks a little bit later over the weekend, following up on the initial reaction when Iran broke the ceasefire and declared the strait closed, although it's already closed because we're blockading it, but fired on a French ship as well as an English one. We fired on an Iranian flagship and prevented it from making port. So, yeah. We thought we had a deal on Friday. The strait is open. The markets reacted. But you can't be that surprised that there'll be some stopping and starting here, the death throes of this regime. Perhaps. Certainly going to capitulate as an absolute last resort, and maybe as a last resort, maybe an option that won't be their last resort because they would rather choose, in their eyes, martyrdom than surrender. And what the president is demanding is effectively surrender. This is not a negotiation per se, although I'm sure there are things on the margins that Vance has been instructed to offer that the president has agreed to in advance if he can get those major components that I just mentioned, and Trey Yingst nicely repeated for me. If he can get those done, because that team was dispatched back to Islamabad for discussions with the Iranians. There, I hold the same position I held late last week before the Friday announcement after our program that the Strait was open and we've got a deal, and then clearly that deteriorated because, as Ambassador Mike Walls explained on This Week, in part there's a certain amount of chaos within the leadership, and you have the mullahs saying one thing, maybe the gay cardboard mullah, I don't know, gay cardboard ayatollah, I don't know, doesn't seem like anybody knows, but you've got one group saying one thing and another group saying another thing, and so it's a bit chaotic.
Well, the Iranian command and control and government is in absolute disarray because of the devastating attacks across its leadership. You're right. You heard the Iranian foreign minister say it's open, and then the IRGC step in and say, no, it's closed. Regardless, it's the blockade, the U.S. Navy, and President Trump who's ultimately deciding what gets in and out. So he has completely turned the tables on Iran's attempt to hold the entire world's economies hostage, on its attempt to punish the world as a result of this dispute over its nuclear program. But to your point, I promise you, I assure you, the United States doesn't trust anything. Any agreement that comes out will have to be verifiable and enforceable. And back to my position here in the United Nations, the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, and its nuclear inspectors, I'm confident will be a key part of whatever's resolved.
312-642-5600 is the alphawealthgroup.com answer line and text line if you want to chime in on this via the phone or the text. And, of course, there's maybe some frustration. We thought we had a deal, and we clearly didn't have a deal, don't have a deal, not yet. But it really hasn't changed the dynamic, because I put the question, and we will this morning, to the experts we have on, bottom of the 6 o'clock hour, top of the 7 o'clock hour, Stephen Bucci, which is what is the Iranian capacity to retaliate in any meaningful way, militarily or economically? The combination of epic fury and economic fury seems to have them all but defenseless. Yes, they are able to engage in acts of piracy, as Pete Hegseth mentioned yesterday. They don't have control of the Strait. The U.S. Navy has control of the Strait. They still have capacity for piracy, but that's not synonymous with control. So, and even that capacity for piracy diminishes with each passing day. So that, against the backdrop of 47% inflation, and now you're hemorrhaging $400 million a day, $13 billion a month, rough numbers, in revenue for this regime. So they're trying to play the long game. They're in no position to hold out for anything that would resemble the long game. Not, it doesn't seem to me, not even months. So it'd be very interesting, but of course they're still willing to sit at the table and talk. Again, as Ambassador Wall says, as we all know, whatever, even if it was memorialized on paper, will be painstaking in terms of implementation in reality, because this is an untrustworthy group. One would hope that this regime is truly changed, not just personnel, but attitude, disposition toward the West, and toward, frankly, the Iranian people. That it happens either concurrent with the other pieces of a deal, or it happens shortly thereafter, once a deal has been inked and we move to the implementation phase. George in Naperville.
Good morning, Dan. Could we also have the mullahs agree to sign to that honesty is the best policy?
Yeah, that should help a lot. Yeah, thanks for the call, George. Yeah. Going to turn over a new leaf, are the mullahs? Mm-hmm. Okay. Back to more serious business, though. I thought VDH had a good observation, which tells you what the left really thinks here, the reflexively anti-Trump really thinks here about how this is going, despite their protestations and their performative war of choice, and BB dragged him in and putting soldiers in harm's way, and all of the criticisms of President Trump's military campaign against the Iranians. But at the same time, they're criticizing. They're trying to position themselves to own the peace. And it's our, on again, off again NATO friends in Western Europe, as well as those who, in the neo-Marxist party back in this country, who have been all but cheering for Iran.
I think you're going to see all these opportunistic carrion people come in. You're going to see the UN say, well, we're going to be in charge of the peace. Or you're going to see people say, this is what we're going to do with Lebanon, or individual European states, or the EU, or the NATO. But none of them were to be found when it was very unpopular, very risky, and Iran had this reputation, I think unfounded, but it was the terror of the Middle East. We were told it was indomitable. For 47 years, you might want to go to Iraq or Afghanistan, but you don't get near Iran. They're too crazy. They're too dangerous. And Donald Trump, in less than 6 weeks, with the help of the Israeli Air Force, demolished it. And now all of a sudden everybody wants to pile on and think that they're somewhat responsible for the future of the new Middle East. It's really shameless. It really is.
Of course it's shameless. If it wasn't shameless, it wouldn't be them. In addition to that, the neo-Marxists are trying to rewrite history, as is their want, and to essentially say, even if Trump gets everything that he is demanding, all he's done is accomplish the same thing that Obama accomplished with the glide path to a nuclear weapon that he provided. Pallets of cash and a glide path to a nuclear weapon, with some promises for IAEA inspections that were not fulfilled. But they're trying to suggest that all what Obama accomplished through trenchant diplomacy, Trump has had to accomplish through all of this ugliness and expense and so forth. Jake Sullivan, Jake from the State Department during the Biden term, you'll recall. And he is a diplomat, a Foreign Service officer, in the same way that Jake on those commercials is a State Farm insurance agent. This is what he had to say. The lesson that Iran has learned from President Trump's military campaign.
The main lesson that Iran has taken from this war is they can now shut down the Strait of Hormuz, and the United States will look at that as a source of leverage for Iran. That used to be a theoretical possibility. Now it's an actual reality. And even when they just said we're going to open the strait, the Revolutionary Guard came out and said you have to come through Iranian waters, you have to go in the order we tell you, maybe you even have to pay a quiet toll, and we'll decide down the road whether we want to close it up again. That is what Iran got out of this war.
Where are we right now?
That's nonsense. As Mark Dubowitz over at Foundation for Defense of Democracies responded, that's not the main lesson at all. This is under the Obama deal, Iran would emerge after 2030 with nuclear-armed ICBMs, 10,000 ballistic missiles, a Chinese and Russian-built military, hundreds of thousands of attack drones, a fully operational terror network, and hundreds of billions of dollars to harden its economy. Then we'd have no option to fight to reopen Hormuz. Iran would have a permanent stranglehold. That's what they were banking on with the Obama deal. That is what has been upended by Trump. VDH made this point as well. For 10 years, Iran was sanctions-free, making $500 million a day in petrochemical sales. And it was thanks to people like Jake Sullivan and Ben Rhodes. It was a bonanza for the Houthis and Hamas and the people in Syria and Iraq that are their proxies, and, of course, Hezbollah. Dubowitz's more comprehensive comment about just where Iran expected itself to be if they could have this 15-year run under the auspices of this nuclear surrender deal that Obama negotiated. But that's what it would have been. That's what's being undone by Trump. That dystopian future that was in the Iranian sights, as described by Dubowitz. Paul in Oak Lawn.
Hey, Dan, thanks for taking my call. I'm not like a conspiracy guy or anything, but any chance that the talks are being undermined a little bit by, like, Democrats? I'm not picturing Obama picking up a phone and undermining the whole thing, but maybe getting messages to him. Hey, hang in there a little longer. Don't negotiate with Trump. We'll give you a better deal. We're probably going to win some elections in November. Just hang in there, hang in there, hang in there. And eventually, you'll deal with us and we'll be more lenient.
Thanks for the call, Paul. Well, I would say this. I don't know that there's any direct communiques of that sort. That would be a little bit ham-handed and overtly treasonous. But there are instances like we saw over the weekend with both Field Marshal Tim from Minnesota, Tim Walz, and Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy going to this global progressive mobilization event in Barcelona. They're on foreign soil attacking America. So don't think that the rest of the world doesn't pick up some of that dynamic and maybe find some encouragement, enemies of America, find some encouragement that you would have people like Chris Murphy on foreign ground say this about the current administration.
Want to bring you greetings as well from a nation that is in crisis. I'm not going to sugarcoat the gravity of what we face right now in the United States. This is the most significant threat to American democracy since the Civil War. Donald Trump in our country is trying to end our democracy. We are not on the verge of a totalitarian takeover. We are in the middle of it. He is trying to seize control of our courts, of our law enforcement, of our media, of our elections. His goal is oligarchic capture.
That's not overtly seditious. Not overtly. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
Scott Jennings fearlessly fights back against the mainstream media on the Scott Jennings podcast.
When Republicans have even a whiff of scandal, what do we hear? Resign, step down, zero tolerance. Where is the Democratic Party? Where is the outrage? Where is the moral clarity? What do we hear from cable news? Nothing.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Only a few short months ago, you heard silver was up 40%. Well, silver is now up over 260%. Fox Valley Coins saw it coming, and they're ready to help. Unlike dealers that only buy or only sell, Fox Valley Coins does both. No middleman. That means you get the best deal on the dollar. Selling? Fox Valley Coins pays top dollar for rare coins, scrap gold and silver, bars, proof sets, and entire collections of any size, going through every item right in front of you. Cash, check, or wire transfer. Buying? Fox Valley Coins carries all major gold, silver, and platinum physical products. Complete discretion. Your business stays your business. Fox Valley Coins, family-owned integrity since 1981. On Route 59, one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Fox Valley Coins. Buy smart, sell smart.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 6:06, the battle over temporary protected status for Haitians and that program in general. And we'll do a larger border security hunk as well, using TPP as a jumping off point. That's 6:06. It's now 6 o'clock on AM 560, WIND, Chicago.
There will be another round of talks or else. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's President Trump's message to Iran as the U.S. negotiators leave today for Pakistan for another round of talks ahead of the ceasefire's expiration tomorrow.
I spoke with President Trump over the weekend, who told me if the deal isn't done, the deal that we made, then I'm going to take out their bridges and their power plants. He went on to say if they don't sign this thing, the whole country is going to get blown up.
Fox's Trey Yingst also reports from Tel Aviv.
At this point, the Iranians say they've not yet agreed to attend these talks on Tuesday. And overnight, state media was saying the talks weren't even going to take place.
This after an escalation in the Strait of Hormuz that Iran calls armed piracy, vowing to retaliate to the U.S. military, intercepting and overtaking an Iran-flagged cargo ship.
U.S. Central Command says that the cargo ship tried to evade the U.S. blockade. The destroyer repeated warnings to the cargo ship for 6 hours before blowing a hole in the ship's engine room. Marines then boarding that ship by helicopter in what is the first interception since the U.S. began its naval blockade of the Strait last week.
Fox's Alex Hogan. That blockade is only on ships to and from Iran's ports. Now, Iran is blocking all other shipping in the Strait as a result. Oil prices have been rising again, more than 5%. Stock futures have been falling on Wall Street. They are mourning and in shock in Shreveport, Louisiana, the day after a man went on a shooting spree targeting kids, murdering 8. 7 of them were his own children.
2 other people, the mother and another woman, were also wounded and are in critical condition. The suspect died after a police pursuit and is being identified as Shamar Elkins. Investigators did not say what started the violence, but are confident it was a domestic incident.
Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. Fear may be subsiding in northern Japan after a powerful earthquake off the coast triggered a tsunami warning with up to 10-foot waves possible, but the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center now says the threat has passed. Waves of 2 to 3 feet were reported. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 35 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keane in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A Titanic exhibit in Illinois began to flood on the 114th anniversary of the infamous maritime disaster. Fox 32 Chicago's Joni Lum has the latest.
A maintenance worker spotted water rising around the Titanic exhibit's display of how the famous ship pitched after hitting an iceberg in 1912. The museum took on water on the night of April 14th into the morning of the 15th, the same time that the Titanic crashed and slowly sank into the ocean 114 years ago. The Titanic exhibit was built around a replica car like the one in the romantic historical film Titanic. This week's flood is unexplained. The building sits on high ground. There are no leaks and no plumbing, but there are plenty of stories about ghosts and hauntings at Volo Museum.
The museum says it's taken steps to protect its Titanic artifacts, which are valued at more than $6 million. Community colleges in Illinois could soon offer bachelor's degree programs to Illinois residents. Officials, lawmakers, and students all say the initiative would make higher education more accessible, affordable, and benefit the state's economy. Proposed legislation in Springfield would let community colleges provide four-year programs with specific subjects to be determined by the efforts between the Illinois Community College Board and the Illinois Board of Higher Education. Speaking of education, the Chicago Teachers Union says Chicago public school leaders have agreed to transform the school day on May 1st to one focused on civic engagement, student voice, and standing up to the White House. CTU says CPS has agreed to provide buses for students and teachers to attend a rally at Union Park. News is a service of American Beam and Steel, structural repair licensed contractors for your home and business. Search for American Beam and Steel online to schedule your consultation directly with the owner, Mark. American Beam and Steel. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Looking for a powerful way to support your immune system? Now's your chance to win a free bottle of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail made with 23 science-backed ingredients, including vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and natural nutraceuticals designed to support your body's natural defenses. 10 winners will each receive a free bottle. Hey, don't miss your shot to boost your wellness routine. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/immune. That's 560theanswer.com/IMMUNE.
Now, this 25th anniversary of 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation remains committed to honoring the heroes shaped by that day. Heroes like NYPD Detective Victor Vargas, a U.S. Air Force veteran who died from pancreatic cancer after serving in the World Trade Center recovery efforts. Tunnel to Towers honored Detective Vargas by paying off the family's mortgage. You can donate $11 a month, and you can amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Progressive presents Heroes That Keep Truckers Going. Today's hero, the Rest Up Bathroom Custodian. Is there toilet paper? No. Paper towels? No. Clean stalls? Also no. But the soap dispenser is full, and that counts for something. Thanks, hero. Know what else keeps truckers going? Progressive's expanded cargo protection through their enhanced Cargo Plus coverage. Get a quote at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms, limits, and conditions. Not available in California.
If stairs in your home are becoming difficult, there's a practical solution, and it doesn't have to come with pushy salespeople. Access provides dependable stair lifts designed to help you stay safely in the home you love. No gimmicks, no overselling, just honest guidance, quality equipment, and professional local installation. We'll explain your options, work within your budget, and let you decide what's right at your pace. For a straightforward, no pressure, free in-home consultation, call 630-616-6249 or visit allaboutaccess.com.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results. Done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com. And schedule your free in-home consultation today.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hopper Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. We're doing good on the Edens this morning. 14 in, 13 out from Lake Cook to Montrose. The Kennedy is 17 in, 25 out from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange. We've got about 14 minutes on the Ike from Wolf to the old post office. And not too bad on the Stevenson. Inbound is 24, outbound is 23 from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. 23 minutes inbound on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Outbound a little slow at 15. Now, we still have some flooding from last Friday's storm in Des Plaines, and that's on Gulf Road. So that is shut down both ways between Des Plaines River Road and East River Road. This report is a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device when you download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Airrite Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 54. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 46. Tomorrow is expected to be pleasantly warm with periods of clouds and sunshine. An afternoon shower cannot be ruled out with a high of 74. Wednesday will also be pleasantly warm with partial sunshine and a high of 73. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. You know, just about everything that the left does is predicated on a cheat. They have to rig things, particularly from a policy perspective, because their policies don't work on the merits. So it has to be rigged, from the rationale to the marketing to the implementation to the outcomes. Let me give you an example of what I mean. There's many. One just has to deal with Mamdani, the commies grocery store proposal, $30 million grocery store. We talked a bit about it yesterday, or on Friday, that is. Kyle Smith, who's a columnist over at the Journal, film critic too, good film critic. The rationale for the mayor's public government grocery store venture, from a press release from his office. Grocery prices in New York City have risen nearly 66% over the past decade, significantly outpacing the national average. That's the predicate. Because grocery prices are spiraling in New York, we have to step in and do something. That provides the rationale. But what about that predicate? It's bogus. Cal Smith tracked it to a report from the New York State Comptroller, who finds that something did indeed increase by 66%. New York metropolitan area consumers spending on food eaten at home from 2012 to 2023, that decade. That statistic, which includes spending by affluent people in the suburbs who shop at premium stores, says nothing about actual grocery prices. So you pluck that statistic and misapply it to provide the rationale for your $30 million big government gambit, which is destined to be, of course, a catastrophe. But you'll come up with new statistics and new boogeymen and new excuses and new misdirections to cover the fact that it will be an abysmal failure, and a costly one at that. We see the same thing going on with respect to immigration policy. And this argument right now, although it's not much of an argument because thankfully this is going nowhere in the Senate and this will be taken up by the Supreme Court. This is over the temporary protected status of 350,000 Haitians in America. What we're talking about, we talked about last week, because you had half a dozen Republicans join with the Democrats to pass an extension of the temporary protected status for these 350,000 Haitians, a 3-year extension to their temporary protected status, over the objections of, obviously, 99% of the GOP caucus and the President of the United States. And thankfully, Senate Republicans. So, as I said, it's not going anywhere. But that's not the point. The point is the argument. The arguments that are being offered. And one of the most vociferous proponents of extending TPS for another 3 years for those 350,000 Haitians is our very own Frances Parker Spice of the Socialist Spice Girls, Ayanna Pressley. She now of Massachusetts, you'll note. She had this to say in her defense of being the leading proponent of this extension. Another phony stat.
further compromise a nation that is in a process of rebuilding and send 350,000 people there. So for some people, they were moved by the fact that we have a caregiving crisis. Secretary Kennedy of Health and Human Services had stated that, and 1 in 5 healthcare workers are Haitian. 1 in 4 of our long-term healthcare workers are Haitian. That was a point that was deeply resonant for a lot of people.
Yes, that would have some resonance if it were true, or it'd have more resonance than it does if you actually cite the right statistic. 1 in 4 and 1 in 5, 20% of healthcare workers are in this country are Haitian. Doesn't that strike you as a incredibly high number? Doesn't that strike you as that doesn't sound right? Yeah, because it's not right. The number is more like 0.6%. But even if it was 40x what Ayanna Pressley says it is that a reason they should stay? They should have that temporary protected status extended? Well, this is where we fold in some of the Republicans and the arguments they make. And see if you can identify one or more, because there's a couple, but there's a big flaw in Mike Lawler's argument. Mike Lawler is one of those Republicans who signed on to the Dignidad Act. He's a suburban New York Republican who's trying to, I guess, protect his swing district. He was one of the lead advocates for raising the SALT cap, too, in the big, beautiful bill, those negotiations, so that high tax people living in high tax states basically don't feel the full brunt of the terrible public policies that they have platformed by the people they've elected. We're supposed to have great sympathy for people who've chosen to destroy New York and Illinois and California and New Jersey, Connecticut. I don't know why. But anyway, here's Lawler making his case for the extension of TPS. The same position as Ayanna Pressley, this member of the House Republican Caucus, Mike Lawler, but a different angle on it.
Deal with it based on the merits of the situation. Every one of these cases should be heard. If somebody does not qualify and should not be in this country, the administration should move to deport them. If they are on TPS, revoke their TPS status. It happens every day. These cases are heard by an administrative judge, and that should continue. But for the people who are working in particular in our healthcare system, what I am saying is allow them to continue working while their case is heard. So if TPS is ended by the Supreme Court, they're going to hear the case in short order. If it is ended by the Supreme Court, what I'm saying is, as these cases are heard, we want them to be able to continue to work to support the American people in our healthcare system. This is extremely complex. Everybody wants to just make this, very black or white and not recognize some of the nuance that does come into play when you're talking about people who have been in the country lawfully for upwards of 15 years, whether we agree.
They've been in the country lawfully for upwards of 15 years and they're on temporary protected status. Does that strike you as somewhat dissonant? The purpose of temporary protected status is to provide permanent status in 3-year increments. As I said, paraphrasing Milton Friedman, nothing is so permanent as temporary protected status as long as you have people like Mike Lawler around. Are you hearing yourself? People who've been lawfully in this country for 15 years deserve another 3 years of temporary protected status so we don't upset the apple cart with some Haitians who are working in healthcare because they have work authorization along with their TPS, and you remove TPS, there goes the work authorization. That's his argument. We can't absorb a loss of 0.6% of healthcare workers in this country. Irreplaceable. Is that right? 312-642-5600 is the alphawealthgroup.com call line and text line if you want to opine. But there's something else that, in terms of the premise, always look to premises. The premise he starts from, that's wrong, and it needs to be challenged. See if you can identify it. Tom, Chicago's Morning Answer. Go ahead.
Hey, good show. Hey, what I wanted to, this is sort of a big umbrella problem, but I mean, the Democrats can't even think about this, but you know, the Dem left, they just lie. You can't prove it's a lie. Then you have the press that don't have the gumption or spine to challenge them. So you just can make things up. Just make it up, and especially Pritzker. I think Pritzker is a classic example. And the Republicans don't even know how to even think about this, let them to do it. That's my take on this whole thing.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Well, yeah, that's true, although we're doing it here. I mean, you can do it within your circles, post on social media. It's not that complicated. Ayanna Pressey says 1 in 5 healthcare workers are Haitian. I mean, this is not data that is inaccessible. That's just not even close to true. Bill Maloogian, Fox News reported it too. Debunked what she said. So there are people doing it. I mean, yeah, the Illinois Republican Party doesn't do much of anything. So, I mean, that's a good example of the bad example, but there are good examples of the good example out there too. And it's not that difficult, including Pritzker, because they do lie with such facility and because they feel themselves so insulated they can just make stuff up. They can just say anything, or they can take one position and then tomorrow have a completely different position because their short-term interests have changed. I mean, you can hold them accountable. You can pay attention and help others to pay attention and to see things how they are. That's what we try to do here. Corey Woodlawn.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, Dan. You know, I don't know if these numbers are true or not, but businesses are not patriotic. That's why we need representatives that must be patriotic. There is a number. This is what Prager always said. There's a number. When you hit it, this will cease to be America. And in some of these cities, I mean, you can see it already. They don't have our values. They don't have our culture. They broke the law coming into this country. I'm sorry. They've got to go home.
Yeah. I'm with you. And what's the false premise that Lawler is starting from when he talks about, look, as their cases are adjudicated and so on and so forth? I'll tell you what it is. 350,000 people were granted temporary protected status en masse. It's like what we talked about with open borders. Let them all in, in one big scrum, and then we'll talk about adjudicating their cases individually over generations. And we'll have, we need more immigration judges and this and that and that and this and that, and there'll be all the NGOs and all the nonprofit lawfare orgs like ACLU of the left will throw. Not to mention all the politicians in robes will throw as many roadblocks as we can to draw the process out as long as we can, to keep as many people here for as long as we can. So my point to Lawler would be, listen, I'm sympathetic to the idea that we should treat cases for asylum or some other sort of protected status on an individualized basis. And I'm sure there are some Haitians in this country who can make a strong case for asylum, given the warlordocracy that is that country, that they truly fear for their lives. They will be persecuted for their religion or their political beliefs, and it could very well put their life in jeopardy to be sent back. I don't discount that possibility. But here's the problem. We had a president who did 350,000 en masse, and multiple presidents who do this en masse. And then we have people say, well, and then we'll adjudicate the cases individually. You did something wrong en masse, or something within your power en masse, a big group, One fell swoop. Don't tell me you vetted 350,000 Haitians and conferred temporary protected status to each one on an individualized basis, reviewing all the available background information. I mean, come on, nobody believes that because it's not true. You didn't do it. You have the power, so you did it. Well, this president has the power to undo it, and so he's undoing it. And I'm sorry if there are people in that group who otherwise could make a credible claim for asylum. Then I would encourage you to make that credible claim for asylum on an individualized basis, and don't fall in with the group for these, never-ending 3-year designations of temporary protected status. We got this wrong by doing it this way on the front end. We're trying to correct it on the back end so you can have some semblance when it comes to entering this country legally under the law, as under what the law currently provides, and we can actually examine it on an individualized basis. But you don't get the benefit. You don't get sort of, I only can take the benefits, but I can't take when a president acts within his power for my benefit, but I don't have to take any of the consequences or the punishments, if you want to call it that, when a president also acts within his power to strip me of this temporary status that I had enjoyed. I only get the enjoyments. I don't get when the president decides to take the policy in a different direction. Same position, same power. He has a choice. One made this choice. The other made that choice. And that's it. Mike Lawler, representative. And you want to make a case that we need home healthcare workers or workers in the healthcare industry, and so we should do some type of temporary worker program, then make the case. And we'll do it on the front end where there actually is vetting, rather than everybody comes in, or we'll designate the hundreds of thousands of people, and then we'll just see how it works out. And if it's uneven, well, then now you have to adjudicate the thing individually. No, I don't. No, the president does not and should not. Rob and McHenry.
Good morning. I find it interesting that when it comes to taking our rights away, they're willing to do that en masse. For example, our Second Amendment rights, they just ban what we can own, even though individually we've made even legal gun owners all our lives. Where's our due process rights? Where's our day in court before they just pass laws that limit our rights?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Rob. Right. Yes. They wield their power as a blunt instrument wherever and whenever they can. And frankly, this is, one of my ever-loving frustrations. They exercise power they don't have, while Republicans are often afraid to exercise power they do. Produces bad outcomes. Roger, DeKalb.
Hey, Dan. Great show. Yes, Mike Lawler drives me crazy. Mike Lawler is the Republican that was behind the SALT taxes being back imposed.
Yeah.
Well, people all over the country have to pay for the overtaxation in poorly run Democrat states and cities. And what happened in New Jersey and New York after that? They went even harder to the left. So it's like, I don't know who that guy's rewarding or who he thinks he is. And you start from the presidents that, they're here legally for the last 15 years. It's like the guy just is unbelievably a sellout to conservative ideals. So you have a great day, Dan.
Thanks for the call, Roger. Text from 847. We have to have staff at all the fraudulent hospice centers. Exactly. Right. Yeah. Well, we'll get to that. But the fraud that begets the fraud, fraudulent statistics, fraudulent stories. That Wisconsin, we didn't get to it. I know people were talking about it last week and never did get to it, but I'll mention it here. That Wisconsin sheriff that sued the Evanston woman. And good for him. This crackpot from Evanston who made up a story about being detained and shuffled around by law enforcement and over at the Broadview Ice facility and so on and so forth. And yet they've got video of her on doing shopping and enjoying her, milling about as a free person, Jussie Smollett-esque. But the story gets out and the Chicago press corps hyperventilates, and then it gets nationalized and redistributed by the left to show that ICE is thugs and slave patrols and this and that.
That is right, Cheryl. Today, the Dodge County Sheriff said Sundance Sonny Nakvi's story was made up, and he's demanding action accountability for what he calls lies.
Sundance Nakvi was not detained by ICE at any time. She was not transported to Broadview Detention Facility. She was not transported across state lines to Dodge County, by law enforcement anyway. She was not in the custody of the Dodge County Sheriff's Office.
Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt in his lawsuit outlining what he calls a hoax allegedly carried out by 28-year-old Sundance Sonny Nakvi. Nakvi's supporter spoke out last month after the Evanston native claimed she was detained at O'Hare Airport by Customs and Border Protection for 30 hours. Her family says she was then sent to the ICE detention facility in Broadview and later transported to a facility in Dodge County, Wisconsin, where they said she was released Saturday, March 7th. According to the lawsuit, Sheriff Schmidt says Nakvi was actually staying at a hotel near O'Hare and allegedly sent text messages from her room.
She checked into the Hampton Inn and Suites in Rosemont, Illinois for the entire duration of this alleged event. Travel from the Hampton Inn and Suites in Illinois to the Holiday Inn Express in Beaver Dam was done to complete this hoax. She scammed a victim out of thousands of dollars in pursuit of this hoax against the federal government and the Dodge County Sheriff's Office.
During the sheriff's news conference,
I think the Ascendario brothers were somehow involved. The Cook County Commissioner Kevin Morrison, whose claim to fame as being the first openly LGBTQIA2S+++++++++ Cook County Commissioner, he's been named in the defamation suit from that sheriff as well. Good. But this is what you're dealing with, who you're dealing with. And it just repeats itself over and over again. I mean, Homeland Security, to their credit, is sort of keeping a running laundry list of all the incidents of hoaxes. Milford High School student detained by ICE in solitary confinement, lawyers say. This was up in Massachusetts. Milford High School student. An illegal alien from Brazil, that's what he actually was, not detained in solitary confinement. The place where they said he was detained in solitary confinement doesn't have solitary confinement. Illegal alien, properly detained for being in this country illegally at an ICE facility like a Broadview. All the racial profiling accusations and, the apocryphal stories about targeting nannies at parks and arresting 6-year-olds with leukemia. And then you get into the details of these stories and they're all hoaxes. But most of the surface skimming electorate, which is most of it, remembers is the blaring headline and the hyperventilating local affiliate reporter weeping on air. Jan in Hoffman Estates.
Hi, good morning. I wish that you would just continually talk about the constant fraud that is going on throughout every agency that we cannot afford. And I think if you have temporary status, you have a lot of benefits just like a citizen. Maybe you can't vote, but I'm not even sure about that. But people are not even aware that they have not put any stops on any of the stopping of the fraud. In Congress, they haven't, Social Security, any of these stops at all. That's all I have to say.
Thanks for the call, Jan. Tim, Plainfield.
Hey, Dan, good morning. I saw an interview with Brandon Gill. I tuned in late this morning. I hope this hasn't come up already, but Brandon Gill was saying that a lot of this pressure is coming from the Chambers of Commerce on these Republican senators. And I started thinking, I'm a 30-year union truck driver from Chicago. I mean, I've been in trucking I've worked for two of the biggest companies. If you looked at my wages, my real wages on a bar graph, it would be start at the top left and it would end up at the bottom right. And I'm starting to wonder, they've been pushing for cheap labor for decades, and I'm wondering, I started zooming out and thinking about the big picture. Are they responsible for some of the destruction of the middle class income of this country? State, apparently there's different ones in each state. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure what they are besides a lobbying group.
Yeah, there's local. Thanks for the call, Tim. Local and state level chambers, obviously federal. United States Chamber of Commerce. There, I don't know if I'd say the destruction of the middle class, because the middle class is a lot of people that were middle income have become upper income, so that there's still real income mobility here. But I would say that, are they responsible for some of the lax immigration policies that had deleterious effects on people that are lower middle income in particular, trying to get to middle income and to upper income and upper income? Yeah, they are. They are. Have they thrown in with government? Yeah, they have. Have they thrown in with the open borders crowd a lot? Yes, they have. Have they been willing to make unholy deals, report unholy deals like the 86 immigration reform? Yeah. Where we got the pathway to citizenship for 2 million, but we never got the border security. And something we've been struggling with for the intervening almost 40 years now. Yeah. This was Brandon Gill on the topic. To your point, Brandon Gill, the rep from Texas.
So let's ask ourselves, does mass migration from Haiti benefit the American people? The answer is obviously no. 65% of non-immigrant Haitian-headed households are on welfare. Does that make America stronger or more prosperous or more wealthy in any way? Of course it doesn't. And yet we're being asked to give them amnesty and make these absolutely horrendous years of open borders effectively permanent.
And that's to Janet Hoffman Estates' point, too. Yeah, Lawler and Presley are talking about the Haitians on temporary protected status with work authorization working in the healthcare industry. Okay. And I'm sure many of them are doing so. They're fine people. Meanwhile, 2/3 of the Haitian non-immigrants who are here legally are on welfare. Right. That's the other part of the story. And in addition to lies, damn lies, and statistics, one of the ways they lie is by telling you only half the story. Focus on the thing I want you to focus on, and present like all we have here is an unalloyed good, when in point of fact, what we have here is something that is complicated. There's some good, there's some bad. Maybe the bad overwhelms the good. The bottom line is it's a bad policy. It's a bad way to do policy like this. And so we're going to undo it when we have the chance. And President Trump in the Oval Office is the chance. Let's check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 38 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Family and friends are giving back to the family of fallen Chicago firefighter Michael Altman. A fundraiser was held yesterday at the Firewater Saloon on Chicago's northwest side. The funds raised will go to the family of Altman, who died from injuries suffered while battling a blaze March 16th on the city's far north side. A man accused of setting that fire faces murder and arson charges. One man is dead following a crash on Chicago's southwest side. Police say a man was driving a Jeep Cherokee Saturday night when he hit a Honda Pilot in the 4400 block of South Pulaski Road. The Cherokee caught on fire and the man inside was pronounced dead on the scene. And police are looking for a man suspected of attempted sexual assault. Police say a woman was riding the CTA Blue Line on Saturday when she was approached by a man who attacked her. The suspect fled the train at the Austin Avenue stop. The incident is the second such assault in the past week. News is a service of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Brighten your home and make the rooms in your house look better and bigger with larger windows or patio doors this spring. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your consultation today. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher explains the president's stance.
He's up against a world where on Saturday Night Live, Easter weekend, they joked about hoping that he gets assassinated, with the audience cheering that on. You think he cares who he offends on Easter Sunday morning with a profane-laden post? I just think it's a good time to remember that we didn't elect our pastor.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
Give me an extra large deep dish with sausage and green peppers.
Sir, this is Hasselus Mattress.
Throw in some breadsticks, too.
We don't have breadsticks.
Oh, well, give me some of them mozzarella sticks then.
We don't sell pizza. We sell mattresses from Sealy Posturepedic, Beauty Rest, and more for way less.
I think I've got a coupon somewhere.
You won't need a coupon for these everyday deals. Others sell a Beauty Sleep by Beauty Rest Queen Elm Cove A mattress for $1,459, but Hasselus has it for just $794.
Running any specials?
Yes. Through Monday, get an additional $248 off your new Beauty Rest or Sealy Posturepedic mattress just for shopping local.
Do you deliver?
Free next day delivery and haul away of your old mattress.
Great. Step on it, will you? I'm really hungry.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hasselus.com.
Your family and friends love you, but they hate seeing you in pain all the time, especially heading into vacation season. Allow me to recommend my friends at QC Kinetics. They will take care of your pain and let you go right on with your day. It's that easy. Listen, if you answer yes to more than one of these questions, then you're a great candidate. Do you have consistent joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or back? Does pain rob you from a good night's sleep? Are you missing work or saying no to activities you love? Are you taking painkillers? If this is you, then today could be the day to turn that corner and get real relief. With 5 Chicagoland locations and weekend appointments, QC Kinetics treatments are easy, done in the office. Consultations are free. I've seen the results in person myself, and I personally recommend QC Kinetics. So don't wait. This will be the most meaningful thing you can do for yourself and those that love you. Call now 312-827-6261. That number, 312-827-6261. Once more, call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The practice of manufacturing collisions between the Vatican and the President of the United States has continued with Pope Leo XIV because he is new in the job. And President Donald Trump, of course, always provides copy. Take an unknown, mix in the very well-known, and 1,000 columns are launched. The best commentary on this situation actually came from Vice President J.D. Vance more than a year ago. Quote, "It's very hard to fit a 2,000-year-old institution into the politics of 2025, Vice President Vance told me in March of last year. He added, I try not to do that. Reporters ought to be taking heed of that as they cover the Pope and the President. Tell us what the principal said or posted if done specifically with the other party name. Don't overlay prior points of view. That's as silly as playing mind reader. A suggestion. Whenever you hear or read a reporter asserting what a public figure thinks or feels, change your feed or at least turn on your misinformation shield."
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Still in great shape on the Edens, 14 minutes both ways from Lake Cook to Montrose, 19 in, 25 out on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burnt Interchange. Outbound is very slow into Manheim Road. And then on the west side in Lawndale, watch out for a collision on Cicero Avenue, northbound right at the Ike. Once you're on the Ike, though, you're doing fine. Just 14 minutes both ways from Wolfsville Post Office. 26 in, 21 out on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. You've got 17 minutes inbound on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burnt Interchange. Outbound looks great at 10. Now, we're still closed because of last Friday's flooding in Des Plaines on Gulf Road. That is shut down both ways between Des Plaines River Road and East River Road. This report is a service of Allstate. Wish you could save on home insurance? With Allstate, you could easily save and get quality protection. Yep, it's a win-win. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Airrite Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 54. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 46. Tomorrow expect pleasantly warm weather with periods of clouds and sunshine. An afternoon shower may occur with a high of 74. Wednesday will also be pleasantly warm with partial sunshine and a high of 73. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeannie Ives and Amy Jacobson. Heard weekday mornings at 11 on AM 560, The Answer. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I was just getting ready to prepare for the release of documents related to UFOs because, the Friday announcement, the Strait was open and Iran had agreed to no nukes in perpetuity. We were close to a deal. And then, as President Trump posted on Truth Social, Iran decided to fire bullets yesterday in the Strait of Hormuz, a total violation of our ceasefire agreement. Many of them were aimed at a French ship and a freighter from the UK. That wasn't nice, was it? No, it wasn't. So he went on, my representatives are going to Islamabad. They will be there. They're en route. They're not there already. For negotiations. Iran, this was after Iran did a reversal. The Strait is open. No, the Strait is closed. Iran recently announced that they were closing the Strait, which is strange because our blockade has already closed it. They're helping us without knowing, and they are the ones that lose with the closed passage, $500 million a day. We're offering a very fair and reasonable deal, and I hope they take it because if they don't, the United States is going to knock out every single power plant, every single bridge in Iran. No more Mr. Nice Guy. That was the president's response to the violation. For more on the topic and what may come out of this latest round of talks, however long it goes, shouldn't take 21 hours. Here's the deal. Take it or leave it. I'm sure with some, Easter eggs on the margins. More on this. Duncan Wood joins us, fellow at the Wilson Center, CEO of Hearst International Consulting as well. Duncan Wood, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you, Dan.
Nobody can be surprised who pays attention to this stuff by things not going as swimmingly as people had hoped on Fridays, starting with the markets, that there's going to be some push and pull, and this will be painstaking as long as you're dealing with the element in Iran that remains in power ostensibly. But something that Ambassador Walls said on This Week yesterday, Mike Walls, ambassador to the UN, said basically part of a U-turn by the Iranians is because there's chaos at the leadership level between the IRGC and, the gay Ayatollah or whoever, or Galibaf or whoever's in charge in terms of formally of the state, that it's a chaotic situation, which is why you're seeing a push and pull. He almost sort of left the impression that Iran is too busy negotiating with itself for us to intervene at this point.
It's interesting, Dan, because, of course, in international relations, we talk about something called interdomestic politics, which is, you have an international negotiation, but that has to be grounded in the domestic politics of each nation that's negotiating. And we certainly do see that, even with a seemingly monolithic system like the Iranian political system. Within there, you've got lots of vested interests that are, competing, collaborating, negotiating with each other, and, of course, with the leadership. But it's also true, of course, here in the United States. And, the dynamic of having the international negotiation, but the U.S. administration obviously concerned about midterm elections, the impact on the consumer, high gas prices, inflation, et cetera, all of that is coming to bear. And if we lay on top of that the fact that you've got a complete breakdown of trust both ways in this negotiation. I mean, the Iranians came out of the initial diplomatic talks sort of saying, we just don't believe that the United States is going to follow through. We have a lack of trust. And the U.S. saying very much the same thing about the Iranians. This makes it a very, very complex international negotiation. And so I think there's quite a long way to go yet in this conflict, just simply because we would need to build up some basic levels of trust. And both sides are betting that the other one is going to back down. You've got a Mexican standoff in that sense. And from the U.S. perspective, it's saying, well, the Iranians can't afford to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed. But the Iranians are saying exactly the same thing, because the longer the strait is closed, the longer that gasoline prices stay high here in the United States and everywhere else.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess my question is in part, okay, we can, the regime in Tehran is saying we can absorb whatever we need to absorb. And we're playing this long game in our minds, but can they really? I mean, they're basically, it seems to me, they're sitting ducks both militarily and financially. Yes, they were able to engage in some acts of piracy over the weekend, but I mean that they don't have any retaliatory capacity, and it doesn't seem like any of their allies of convenience, the Russians or the Chinese, are going to provide them any retaliatory capacity. So they're just a bobber in the water. So how long before that bobber sinks, you know?
Yeah, it's a good point. And certainly militarily, the United States has shown overwhelming military power in this conflict and has been able to take out targets left, right, and center. But the Iranians are relying upon the fact that in this kind of unequal conflict, the mere ability to cause pain to the other side, in this case, the United States and the global economy, is enough to give them a certain amount of leverage and negotiating power. And so even though their Navy has been not wiped out, but severely handicapped by this conflict, they're still relying on essentially like very small boats packed with explosives, or of course the drones that we've heard so much about. And the kind of aerial drones that they've been using cost only $35,000, and they're very, very effective in causing a greater deal of anxiety in the Strait of Hormuz and, of course, in the broader region. And the naval drones that they have are also very, very cheap and can have a very big impact. So as long as you've got this kind of capacity on the side of the Iranians to strike back, this means it's going to be a very complex situation for the United States. And despite overwhelming military superiority, the United States still has, to consider the cost of all of this.
If my two concerns would be, if I'm looking at this from Trump's perspective, my two concerns would be, one, if I start hitting all of these essentially infrastructure targets, one is we significantly increase the number of civilian deaths, and that's going to be a bad look, and that can create sympathy. Do we create a refugee crisis if we turn the lights out, and that can create more sympathy and more human suffering we're trying to avoid? And then thirdly, if I wanted to just go after whatever's left of this regime, I could probably do it, even if I had to use special forces. But the problem, it seems to me, is with these guys, these mullahs, these Islamist terrorists, you just can't kill your way out of them. They just keep coming. They're just new ones right behind the old ones, as we sort of found out during our time in Iraq and Afghanistan. So to me, I'm thinking less about, I would be thinking less about, Iran's wherewithal and more about how I could impose self-harm here by how I choose to prosecute this at this point.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, Dan. And if we look at the recent history of U.S. activities in the Middle East, and let's just go back to the Iraq War. By taking out somebody who was undoubtedly evil, Saddam Hussein, what ended up happening was we created chaos in the Middle East, in Iraq in particular, which led to the spread of ISIS and other, really dangerous groups. And so that's the last thing that we want, is to turn Iran into a chaotic, anarchic situation where new threats will emerge both in the region and internationally. And that's why all these issues are so delicate. You can send a message, you can try to force the other side into a compromise, but ultimately you have to make the decision. Is causing more harm and really breaking down the structure of society going to be positive for the United States in the long term, or will it just result in chaos, which could, of course, impact the Strait of Hormuz specifically for a long, long time, other countries in the region very, very deeply, and ultimately have an impact on the global economy? So it's a balancing act that the United States has to play here. Obviously, they have their goals that they want to achieve, and the U.S. administration has been increasingly clear about what they're trying to get out of this conflict. But you don't want to tip it over into that kind of chaos and anarchy.
Yeah, and I don't. But in terms of the negotiating table, I don't know. We know what the demands are, and even if you agree to them, we know there would be. It's complicated to enforce after the fact, and that would be painstaking and go on, sort of in an open-ended fashion. But what is it that we could even concede that would allow them to sign on the dotted line and save face, like they have, like we came to some sort of evenly distributed agreement about how the two countries will go forward in peace?
Well, I think that, what would be an acceptable outcome at this point in the conflict, not necessarily if we go back to the beginning of the conflict, but now knowing what, economic harm this conflict has caused. I would say that an acceptable outcome would be the Iranians agreeing to a complete suspension of their nuclear enrichment activities for a period of time. Now, what that period of time is, I don't know. The original U.S. proposal was 20 years. The Iranians rejected it, and President Trump himself says that wasn't good enough. But, if we did get 20 years, I would say that's a victory at this point. Even if we got 10 years, which I know a lot of folks on the side of the, within the administration would say, no, that's not good enough, because that was essentially what President Obama agreed to back in the, in the last decade. And we were unhappy with that. But at this point, if you've got a 10-year extension of the current of that deal, that wouldn't be a bad outcome. It just buys more breathing room and the opportunity to engage in a meaningful and constructive way with the administration in Iran. But nothing is guaranteed, and it's a very, very fragile situation which could be tipped over by any number of factors. So what I'm hoping for is that at least when the two sides get back to the negotiating table, they can establish a minimum level of trust between them and begin to talk in serious terms and hopefully make progress. And honestly, at this point in time, I think that's probably going to be something that we should celebrate if there is progress.
You wrote a piece about choke points, Strait of Hormuz being a choke point, and it's hardly the only one. A big one potentially is the South China Sea, which is why there's been so much focus on that with the rise of the Chinese Communist Party and the antagonism between the United States and China. So that sets up for Trump's meeting coming up with Xi. And I wonder how you think he comes to the table after not just the campaign in Iran, but the blockade of the Strait and what he's willing to do to make sure that commerce flows freely around the globe, including the South China Sea. If that sort of reshapes Xi's understanding and the balance of power between those two representatives of the two major powers.
Yeah, I mean, obviously China has been extremely negatively impacted by the closure of the Strait of Hormuz because China gets so much of its energy from the Middle East. And so, on the specific issue of the Strait of Hormuz, President Xi is going to be, asking President Trump, to make every effort to make sure that is open again. I think President Trump will say, well, you know what? Why aren't the Chinese doing more to help out in this situation, either through, pressuring the Iranian regime, or by offering to maybe police the Strait of Hormuz. But that's a difficult thing to ask for. Do we really want the Chinese Navy operating in the Middle East?
No.
I mean, that's something that's very tricky, right?
No, but I would say maybe something that's leveraged, the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, well, South China Sea, don't mess around in the South China Sea and impede global trade. Because they've done it before, and they're trying to sort of establish where they would have the ability that the Iranians think they had with the Strait of Hormuz, and we don't want you to think you can do in the South China Sea what Iran had tried to do in the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. That would be my message if I was Trump. Right?
I think that's a good point, Dan. The issue is that in recent years, the Chinese have become increasingly sophisticated in their use of choke points, and rather than focusing on geographic choke points like the South China Sea or the Strait of Malacca, is what they've been doing in terms of the critical inputs into the global economy, critical minerals, rare earth elements, etc., and saying, if we just cut off the supply of these basic raw materials, which, becomes essentially a supply chain choke point. If we do that, we can essentially cripple Western industry. And they've been using that to great effect. And so the Chinese, I think, have got themselves into a situation right now where they actually have serious leverage, both with the United States and with the Europeans and other countries in the world, because they have managed to concentrate so much of the world's supply of these critical inputs within their own economy. And that's what they turn to increasingly. They've done it to great effect with the Japanese, with the Europeans, with the United States in recent years. And that's, I think, where the negotiations probably have to be.
Duncan Wood is a fellow at the Wilson Center. He's also CEO of Hearst International Consulting. Duncan Wood, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Great pleasure.
And he joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Anthony and John here from Bionic Auto Parts, proud clients of Signature Bank. We deliver high-quality, recycled and remanufactured auto parts to Chicago and Milwaukee. Our mission is simple: provide parts safely, reliably, with great customer satisfaction.
We process over 350 vehicles a month. With big banks, everything took forever. Layers of approvals and endless delays. At Signature Bank, one call got it done. Whether it's lending, deposits, or treasury management, they deliver fast. Signature Bank made us feel like family. That's a partnership we deeply appreciate.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The Danielle Gill Podcast, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
Actually lowering prices has rarely ever been an accomplishment a Democrat could even claim. The Democrat modus operandi is to use each crisis as an excuse to pass legislation which increases spending, gives more power to the government, and which will make new crises which they can't then use as an excuse to pass more horrible legislation.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com. News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
No more Mr. Nice Guy. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That isn't a warning President Trump posted on Truth Social for Iran to make a deal or else the U.S. bombing would resume, as U.S. negotiators head to Pakistan today for another round of talks. Maybe. Iran may not show up to negotiate.
This is largely considered the last chance for the Iranians. When I spoke with the president over the weekend, he was very clear. They are going to sign on the dotted line, or he's going to target their bridges and power plants.
Fox's Trey Yingst is in Tel Aviv.
It's a decision that Iranian officials have to make. And I'm told by regional sources today there is a divide among Iranian leadership about what to do and whether or not to call the president's bluff. But the president isn't bluffing. This is a very similar situation that we saw before Operation Epic Fury began. The United States is giving the Iranians an off-ramp here, a chance at diplomacy. And if they don't take it, the war is expected to resume.
If Iran does not negotiate, this may be why.
Iran's military says the seizure of the Iranian-flagged cargo ship was an act of armed piracy. It happened in the Gulf of Oman, where the U.S. military fired on the vessel following a 6-hour standoff. President Trump says the ship was given fair warning to stop. Marines then rappelled on board from helicopters.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. The U.S. has turned away about 24 other ships violating a blockade on Iran's ports in the Strait of Hormuz. The new uncertainty has oil prices rising back up 5%. Stock futures are falling on Wall Street. We expect an update today from police in Shreveport, Louisiana, on a mass shooting when a gunman killed 8 children,
including 7 of his own. The victims ranging in age from 1 year old to 14. 2 other people, the children's mother and another woman, were also wounded and are in critical condition.
Fox's Carly Shimkus. That gunman's dead, shot by police after a car chase. Importers who want payback can file for tariff refunds starting this morning under a system set up by the Trump administration after the Supreme Court struck down the president's tariffs. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 37 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A woman has been killed in a hit-and-run accident. Police say a 65-year-old woman was killed after being hit by someone who was driving a red pickup truck as she was walking in the 3100 block of North Central last night. Police say the woman was in the crosswalk when she was hit. Police say the driver of the truck fled the scene. There's no other injuries, and police have no suspects in custody. Chicago's Inspector General says the city is owed at least $8.1 billion and lacks the tools to collect the money. Jim Talamonte reports.
A new report from Chicago Inspector General Deborah Witzberg said the city's finance department is responsible for managing the debt, but it is not well equipped to manage it.
Department of Finance lacks the tools necessary for comprehensive management of the city's debt. That leaves us in a place where there is no one entity in city government that has a clear and comprehensive view of this outstanding debt.
Witzberg said there is no entity in city government that has a clear and comprehensive view of the debt.
What we know is that we find at least $8.1 billion in outstanding debt owed to the city.
The city's finance department has promised to address those findings. Chicago Public Schools are coming to an agreement with the Chicago teachers on May Day. The CTU has urged CPS to cancel classes May 1st so parents and families can take part in the planned May Day protests against President Trump and his policies. Instead, schools will remain open, but principals may provide students with the opportunity to participate in events and field trips, including civic engagement activities during the school day. This report is a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlowe, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Gobridge Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Liberty Cigar Company.
For months, you've been hearing ads about Virago immune support. I have to tell you, this stuff is for real. I had an occasion to not be feeling well on a remote broadcast. I took it, and it is the real deal. And the stronger your immune system, the stronger your body defends against diseases, viruses, and everything else. That's why Dr. Huber created Virago, a liquid immune booster supplement. You take it daily. It's a blend of 23 nutraceuticals working in synergy to maximize effects and boost your immune system. It's the nutraceutical cocktail for an immune system, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Virago even protects your heart, your kidneys, your liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Do yourself and your spouse a favor. Order a bottle of Virago today online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
Born on America's darkest day, 9/11/01, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been helping American heroes ever since. Heroes like FDNY Lieutenant Edward J. McDonough Jr. McDonough served at Ground Zero. He later lost his life to a related cancer. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation was able to honor his sacrifice by paying off the family's mortgage. Donate $11 a month, and you can amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Progressive presents Heroes That Keep Truckers Going. Today's hero, the Rest Up Bathroom Custodian. Is there toilet paper? No. Paper towels? No. Clean stalls? Also no. But the soap dispenser is full, and that counts for something. Thanks, hero. Know what else keeps truckers going? Progressive's expanded cargo protection through their enhanced Cargo Plus coverage. Get a quote at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms, limits, and conditions. Not available in California.
If moving safely around your home is a concern, you deserve clear answers, not a sales pitch. Access will help you improve home accessibility with practical solutions like lifts, grab bars, and home modifications. Designed to fit your home, your needs, and budget. Experienced professionals will take the time to explain your options so you can make an informed decision. If staying safe and comfortable in your home matters to you, start with a free in-home consultation. Call Access at 630-616-6249 or visit allaboutaccess.com.
If you've saved $100,000 or more for retirement, call Steve Shyman today at 833-945-7283. That's 833-WILL-SAVE, 833-WILL-SAVE. Schedule your no-cost, no-obligation retirement review and make sure your plan is built to protect what you've worked so hard to earn. And don't forget to listen to Steve's show, Protecting Your Assets, Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. right here on AM 560. Call now, 833-945-7283.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. 15 in, 14 out on the Edens from Lake Cook to Montrose. 31 in, 29 out on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange. Now the Tri-State is stop and go northbound between the Cermak Toll Plaza and the Ike. The Ike is 36 inbound from Wolf to the Oak Post Office. Outbound is 24, but just jammed between Cicero Avenue and Austin Boulevard with a collision off to the left shoulder at Austin Boulevard. You've got 42 in, 30 out on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. 22 in, 11 out on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange, and stop and go on the northbound side of Lakeshore Drive between Bromar Avenue and Hollywood Avenue. News traffic is a service of Steiner Homes. Building homes is more than a business. It's a calling. Family owned and dedicated to building custom homes with care, integrity, and craftsmanship you can trust. Visit SteinerHomesLTD.com. Northwest Indiana's leading home builder. Steiner Homes, love where you live. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Airrite Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 54. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 46. Tomorrow expect pleasantly warm weather with periods of clouds and sunshine. An afternoon shower may occur with a high of 74. Wednesday will also be pleasantly warm with partial sunshine and a high of 73. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I want to go back to these numbskulls from the Obama years that behave like the Bopsy twins on Bill Maher's program. I'm talking about Jake, formerly from the State Department, Jake Sullivan, and Tiny Dancer, Rahm Emanuel. First, Jake Sullivan on what Iran's lesson is here with respect to the Strait.
The main lesson that Iran has taken from this war is they can now shut down the Strait of Hormuz, and the United States will look at that as a source of leverage for Iran. That used to be a theoretical possibility. Now it's an actual reality. And even when they just said we're going to open the strait, the Revolutionary Guard came out and said you have to come through Iranian waters, you have to go in the order we tell you, maybe you even have to pay a quiet toll, and we'll decide down the road whether we want to close it up again. That is what Iran got out of this war.
Where are we right now?
No, it didn't. That's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. That Iran has somehow flexed its muscles. And they know now they can get what? Blockaded by the United States? After the United States and the combination United States and Israel, with help from their Gulf state neighbors, destroys their retaliatory military capacity? What are you talking about? These guys. Mark Dubowitz, I'll repeat this because it's so good, from Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, reacted thusly to Jake Sullivan's pronouncement there. The main lesson is, under the Obama deal, Iran would have emerged after 2030 with nuclear-armed ICBMs, 10,000 ballistic missiles, a Chinese and Russian-built military, hundreds of thousands of attack drones, a fully operational terror network, and hundreds of billions in cash to harden its economy, starting with the pallets that Jake and his buddies sent. Then we'd have no option to fight to reopen Hormuz. Iran would have a permanent stranglehold. It's just the opposite. He's undoing what was done. And, oh, by the way, as Holman Jenkins writes in the Wall Street Journal, it's even bigger than that. The Persian Gulf closure is a sudden energy shock, a slow-moving shock. In the opposite direction is a world getting over its energy and climate delusions. Norway is drilling enthusiastically again in the North Sea, uncovering large new deposits of oil. For reasons indistinguishable from mental illness, the UK still won't. Germany is saving its coal and nuclear plants. Canada is building pipelines again and making peace with its oil sands. The best way to weaken the world's oil tyrants is for responsible countries to give them competition, which, of course, is exactly what the United States has done by moving to energy independence under Trump 1.0. Then we retreated under Biden, and now we have advanced again under Trump 2.0. Okay, so now that we've dispatched Jake Sullivan, let's turn our attention to Tiny Dancer, trying to, talk tough on Israel because he knows he's got to appeal as a Jewish candidate for president to the anti-Semitic base of his party. So this is how he tries to do it.
My view on this whole thing is the Senate shouldn't be in the business of picking which weapons. No more U.S. military as a financial assistance by the taxpayers for Israel. You're a country like all other allies of ours, Japan, South Korea, the Brits, the Germans. You're going to pay full price. You buy what you want, but you have to abide by the laws. That should be it. I don't think the Senate should be in the place of playing Solomon, that weapon, not that weapon. No more U.S. taxpayer support. It's not where Israel was 20 years ago, not where. And I was in the room when President Obama, largest assistance was under President Obama. We did the funding for the Iron Dome. But here, the days of taxpayers subsidizing Israel militarily, that's over. No more financial aid.
What a disingenuous little prig he is. First of all, as Ezra Levant pointed out, the U.S. has 750 bases in 80 countries, 150,000 plus troops at around $100 billion a year. Germany, Japan, Korea, Britain, Turkey, Qatar. So if you want to end that, then say so. But it's a bit obvious when you focus solely on Israel, which doesn't have a U.S. base. Yeah, it's obvious pandering is what it is. Because that's who Tiny Dancer is. I mean, he is a husk of a human being. He'll, like so many of these politicians, it's not unique, but he'll say and do whatever. I know some people think that like he's sharp or he's tough. As we saw during his tenure as mayor, he is neither of those things. And whatever shrewdness he has is lost because he is not tough. And he's not a good executive. Because he's just been a political hack all his life. Nice try, though. Oh, and meanwhile, Trump had this to say about Israel. Whether you like Israel or not, they have proven to be a great ally of the United States of America. They are courageous, bold, loyal, and smart, and unlike others, have shown their true colors in a moment of conflict and stress. Israel fights hard and knows how to win. More on all of this. Pleased to be joined by Stephen Bucci. Of course, Stephen is served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. Now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me back again.
So if we can, I won't make you do the mind-numbing work of having to tackle Tiny Dancer and Jake Sullivan and all of these ankle biters that populate the Sunday talk shows because we have more pressing business, and that is the actual renegotiation that's beginning today when Vance and team arrive. Trump saying no more Mr. Nice Guy, and if there's no deal by tomorrow when the ceasefire is scheduled to end, then come down, the bridges come down and the power plants get shut off and so forth. Is that the right play here?
Yeah, definitely the right play to make that announcement. This is the only way the Iranians understand to negotiate. They love to negotiate the way Jake Sullivan and Obama and Biden people did. Just send them money, give them whatever they ask for. But that's not what works with these people. If you think working is getting what your side needs, President Trump doesn't do that. So, yeah, he is putting down hard markers. He's letting them know, you got till the end of tomorrow to make a deal. Otherwise, we're going to turn on the big stick again. And look, Iran right now is in disarray. They're still not sure who is really calling the shots, though it appears to most people that it's the IRGC leadership, not any of the mullahs, not anybody in the regular military. It's the hardcore bad guys, the repressors, the spies, the assassins. They've, in their mind, that they've got nothing to lose. They're going to hold fast until somebody knocks them off the horse. And I think President Trump and the Department of War are just the guys to do that.
And what concerns you about those sorts of infrastructure strikes if they come to pass? What is it that you would be warning the president to be careful about in sort of re-engaging in hostilities and escalating in that fashion?
From a military standpoint, there's not too much to warn them about. The Iranians are not going to be able to stop us if we start doing that. Obviously, I think we should also increase the hunting of any small vessel that's there. And, if we don't see Popeye sitting on it, then we should sink it because they're clearly bad guys. But the other infrastructure stuff, from a military standpoint, not a problem, not a threat for us. The problem can occur with the left, who either ideologically is, clutching their pearls and going, oh my gosh, it looks civilian, you can't shoot at it, or the main part of the Democrat Party, which is just Trump wants to do it, so it's got to be bad, and we need to stop it and cheer for the other side. And unfortunately, a lot of our allies in Europe, the Pope, all these folks are, still on that train that, if we just talk to them, if we just make some concessions, we can get this back on track to where it was. Well, as you pointed out very accurately, where it was manifestly bad and unsafe and dangerous. And we can't go back there. We don't, Trump is not going to go back there. He's going to finish this one way or another. But again, you get the concerns, you got the midterms coming, all these political concerns that could derail this effort if the left gets their way.
Well, look, if the strait is open, even if it requires our policing for some finite period of time, and you actually do obtain, however we get it back, the enriched uranium, and you get some sort of commitment to not pursue nuclear weapons, I'd almost rather get no definition in terms of time frame rather than a definition 10 years, 20 years. Just say because I mean, it's really not worth the paper it's written on when you're dealing with this element, until and unless you get actually Western-oriented regime change there. So, and since one administration really has limited ability to bind the next administration, the enforcement of any such prevention of Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, if there's not real regime change there, will be open-ended anyway, and it will be outside of the purview of Trump. So, you take sort of the victory on paper because it will ultimately be hard won on an ongoing basis in reality. And the substance of what people can see and what does have immediate impact, given how decimated the nuclear program is at this point anyway, is making sure you've got traffic flowing freely through the strait without incident, and you have taken possession of that enriched uranium. You get those two tangible things, declare victory and call it a day.
Yeah, and that could be where it comes out. I mean, I'm still pulling for the regime change, not one, emplaced by us, but one that comes about organically from the Iranian people. We really need to be looking, in addition to these other things, to what we can continue to hit to give them the best possibility of getting that. And fortunately, for people who think like me, the IRGC is the nexus point of both of those things. They're really the people in charge right now. They're really the people that need to go to give the Iranian people the opportunity to take charge. We need to go after them really hard in the midst of the other efforts.
I want to get your reaction to something that occurred overseas. We had a caller ask about this earlier in the program, and somebody who has Pentagon experience and service experience that I don't. I want your perspective on this. Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut and Tim Walz, but let's not worry about him. Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut, sitting United States Senator in Barcelona at some, pro-socialism event, says this. So he's on foreign soil, and he says this about the president and his administration while we're engaged in these hostilities in the Middle East.
Want to bring you greetings as well from a nation that is in crisis. I'm not going to sugarcoat the gravity of what we face right now in the United States. This is the most significant threat to American democracy since the Civil War. Donald Trump in our country is trying to end our democracy. We are not on the verge of a totalitarian takeover. We are in the middle of it. He is trying to seize control of our courts, of our law enforcement, of our media, of our elections. His goal is oligarchic capture.
I mean, the whole assertion that we're in the middle of a totalitarian takeover of America, while maybe I'm making something of it, maybe it's a real thing, while you have American men and women in harm's way.
As far as the morale and the fighting ability of the military, some knucklehead senator saying that, even if he's a senior senator, doesn't affect them at all. It might affect, an individual who probably already has fallen off the edge somewhere, but it's not going to affect the institution. Now, affecting the country, that is out and out sedition. It's also kind of ludicrous because the only real threat to oligarchic threat to American democracy right now, in my mind, is squarely on the Democrat Party, not on President Trump, because they are pulling all sorts of fast ones while directing at President Trump that he's always going to cheat to stay in office. He's going to do this.
Yeah.
They are doing exactly that with all of the vote finagling they're doing in Virginia and California and other blue states. It's kind of a typical thing. They attack the other side, accuse them of things. The whole time they're doing exactly what they're accusing the other side of, and smugly sitting there thinking the American public is going to be totally stupid and agree with them. Unfortunately, about half of the American public, hopefully a slightly smaller percentage than the other side, are not recognizing it. They're cheering for it. And they have no idea that in the future they'll have no choice whatsoever. I think that's reprehensible, what the senator said. I think the Senate should censor him for what he said. I don't know if it's against the law. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know all the nuances of that. But, boy, it sure sounds like sedition to me.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. Now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thank you as always.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, and we'll talk to you next week.
And Stephen joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. If you're a business owner with unfiled tax returns, tax season is not your friend. This is when the IRS turns up the heat. They match 1099s. They review payroll filings. They compare bank deposits. And when returns are missing, they don't send you a warning. They take action. Penalties stack up fast. Liens become public. Bank levies can drain your account. I see it every year. Good business owners who waited too long. Not because they're crooks, but because they were overwhelmed. Let me be clear. Hiding makes it worse. Action makes it fixable. I help business owners get compliant, file what's missing, and negotiate from a position of strength, not fear. Don't wait for the next certified letter. Don't wait for a levy. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll tell you exactly what to do next, step by step. Or call me right now at 312-664-6649. Act now before the IRS acts first.
Text from 224, that man, referring to Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut, is such a bitch. Yeah, he really is. Looking to purchase a new home? Then you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Don, trucker, 30, married to Mary, teacher's aide, 29, 2 kids, combined income, $125,000 a year. Call Team Hochberg to secure a mortgage on their first home. David answered all of their questions, explained the funds required for a down payment and closing costs, then introduced them to an experienced realtor. Let's review. David answered Don and Mary's questions, introduced them to a realtor, and helped them secure a mortgage on their new home with a backyard where they can build everlasting memories. If you're purchasing a new home and would like the same outstanding service as Don and Mary received, call David now at 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but it can't help you if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Don't take my word for it. Check out Team Hochberg's more than 700 5-star Google reviews. Atlantic Coast Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 613114.
Mike Lindell and the MyPillow employees want to thank you for your great support this past year. They want to make 2026 the best year ever. So to thank you, they are giving you free shipping on your entire order and wholesale pricing. So they are bringing back the mega sale. For example, the classic MyPillows, regularly $49.98, now only $14.98. Turn any mattress into the best mattress ever with the Made in the USA MyPillow My Mattress Topper and save up to $100. Get a set of MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets for as low as $29.98 or the 6-pack towel set for only $34.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. These offers won't last long, so call 800-489-0201 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. Order now and your entire order ships absolutely free.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-575-8924. 800-575-8924. That's 800-575-8924.
Platform safety is critical at your commercial and industrial facility. Keeping people safe and meeting OSHA requirements isn't optional. That's why Vans Industrial offers free platform inspections by professional structural engineers who know exactly what to look for. Problems with platforms, ladders, or stairs can lead to costly fines or worse. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to protect people in your facility.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. With decades of experience, I bring long-standing industry knowledge from inspecting, correcting, and replacing countless platforms to make facilities safer. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor equipped to modify or replace steel catwalks, handrails, stairways, and ladders. Our union building trades professionals fabricate and install high-quality steel systems that create safer work environments.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free platform inspection by professional structural engineers. See what else we can do for you. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-366-6161. That's 800-366-6161. 800-366-6161.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 7:37, we'll talk election integrity, and you'll be happy to hear we have a new leftist protest song, a new leftist rallying cry, and it's men only. You know, men in quotation marks, of course. We're talking about the left. That's 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 37 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A United Airlines flight that took off from Chicago's O'Hare International Airport on Saturday morning was forced to land in Pittsburgh after pilots reported hearing a sequential beeping sound on board. Pilots asked for the diversion, treating the beeping sound as a possible bomb threat. The plane was met by law enforcement upon landing in Pittsburgh. Passengers evacuated the plane on slides. All 159 passengers and 6 crew members on board exited the plane safely. A rideshare driver was hijacked and robbed early Sunday morning. Police say the rideshare driver was approached by 3 men who entered his vehicle in the Logan Square area. The armed suspects robbed the driver, then kicked him out of the car, escaping with his vehicle. Police say a vehicle similar in description to the rideshare driver's vehicle was seen during an attempted robbery about a half an hour later. It's unknown if those crimes are connected. News is a service of American Beam and Steel, structural repair license contractors for your home and business. Search for American Beam and Steel online to schedule your consultation directly with the owner, Mark. American Beam and Steel. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Alex Marlowe doesn't like the roster.
We've accomplished a lot in the first year and a quarter of Trump's administration, probably far beyond most of our expectations. When I look at the slate of the Democrats, just in terms of issues, their people, what they're arguing for, they have zero charisma. They have zero ideas of any value.
The Alex Marlowe Show. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
I remember sitting in the kitchen, heartbroken, overwhelmed, staring at costs and a list of decisions. I prayed for strength and reached out to Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, only to hear that Mom had already pre-planned everything so my siblings and I would be protected. Because she planned ahead, we weren't pulled apart by heartbreaking decisions.
Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5407 to schedule a free consultation.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon,
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and newnordicusa.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. 16 in, 17 out on the Edens from Lake Cook to Montrose. The Kennedy is 38 in, 37 out from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange. And doing better on the Ike now, it's 37 inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office. Outbound is 24, but you've got 49 minutes, so getting very slow inbound on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound is 25, 24 in, 11 out on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange, but hitting the brakes on the express lanes inbound between 47th Street and the Stevenson, and your stop and go on Lakeshore Drive northbound between Bryn Mawr Avenue and Hollywood Avenue. This report is a service of the Hartford Auto Insurance. Wait until you hear this. You can save hundreds by switching to AARP Auto Insurance from the Hartford. Visit trusthartford.com. The Hartford, your protection is their passion. The Hartford Auto Insurance Group, Inc. pays royalty fees to AARP for the use of its intellectual property. AARP and its affiliates are non-insurers. Savings vary. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Airrite Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 54. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 46. Tomorrow is expected to be pleasantly warm with periods of clouds and sunshine. An afternoon shower cannot be ruled out with a high of 74. Wednesday will also be pleasantly warm with partial sunshine and a high of 73. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and new NBC survey out. NBC poll shows Trump with only a 37% approval rating, and 2-1 disapprove of Trump's handling of the Iran war. And yet, to the question, do you support or oppose requiring all voters to show government-issued photo identification at their voting place in order to vote? Do you support voter ID? 3-1 support, 75-25. They managed to beat it down under 80%, but still, even, and I don't believe these numbers, I believe these numbers are a little bit low, artificially so. I'd have to look at the methodology, but regardless, it's just their methodology, right? So 37% approval rating for the president, 2-1 disapprove of his handling of the war, which is the dominant topic right now, and yet still 3-1 support voter ID. That the neo-Marxist party calls Jim Crow 2.0. You think maybe that's where more political capital should be spent than is being spent now? I don't mean exclusively. I just mean more now. Keep going, Mike Lee and company, John Thune. You can't beat this drum loud enough, particularly when with each passing day, we have more examples that would leave the reasonable person scratching their head. For example, listen to this back and forth in House committee between our friend Brian Stile, Republican from Kenosha, just north of the Cheddar Curtain there. Brian Stile and the Secretary of State for the state of Minnesota.
Does Minnesota issue driver's licenses to illegal aliens?
Mr. Chair, to non-citizens broadly, those who are documented and undocumented.
So non-citizens broadly, including illegal aliens. And does it distinguish on the driver's license whether or not an individual is a citizen or not?
Mr. Chair, no, it does not.
No, it does not. Some states do. Minnesota does not. So if an individual comes to register day of in Minnesota, you allow same-day registration. Is that accurate?
Correct.
And if an individual comes in and registers, there's no photo ID requirement on same-day registration in Minnesota. Accurate?
Correct.
And so an individual wouldn't have to show their ID, and if they did show their ID, it wouldn't say whether or not they're a United States citizen.
Mr. Chair, I'm hesitating only because there's certain circumstances that might be different from that, but I take the meaning of your question. Yes, it's not required.
So just so you understand, Minnesota gives out driver's license to anyone. You can register to vote same day. You don't have to present ID. And on the driver's license, there's no indication whether you're here legally or illegally. You can register the same day as the election, and you don't have to present ID. Then you can vote in that election without presenting ID as well. Gosh, you think there's the possibility of voter fraud there? Wait. It gets better than that in Minnesota. You think Minnesota's ever been in play for us all these last several cycles? Oh, it looks like, it was within the margin of error. It was never in play. It gets better than that. Here's that same Minnesota Secretary of State being grilled on Minnesota's legal regime, and I use that term very loosely, that phrase very loosely, when it comes to vouching for people to register to vote.
In Minnesota, you have a vouching opportunity as well.
That's right.
And so an individual who is registered to vote in Minnesota could show up with up to 8 individuals and vouch for them. Is that accurate?
Yes, but they are only vouching for where they live, not their citizenship or age. Only their
right, because it's not asked, right? I mean, they would simply check a box that would say that they are a U.S. citizen. Is that accurate?
As in almost every other state,
So
yes.
it's an attestation aspect. So where they live is what you could vouch for.
Correct.
So an individual who's registered to vote in Minnesota could walk in with 8 people from the Quality Leering Center, vouch that they live in Minneapolis, and those individuals would then be registered to vote, would be capable
of voting? Yes. Right. So, again, you're here illegally. You go get a driver's license from the DMV in Minnesota, and then you register to vote, and then you vote. Oh, and by the way, bring 8 of your friends and vouch for that they live with you, and they'll register to vote, and they can vote too. Stories like this, I think, punctuate the need for the Save America Act and for states that are not serious about ballot integrity to be compelled to be more serious. In addition to sending up all sorts of flares for the Republican Party, both at, I'm sure the state level is aware, but at the regional and national level, to say we need to bring more resources to bear than we're bringing if we're going to try to interdict the level of voter fraud that these sorts of regimes provide for. 312-642-5600 is the alphawealthgroup.com answer line and text line. And particularly if anybody's got experience in Minnesota, I'd love more color on that. We'll get more color. This is in part why at the federal level, under the leadership of Harmeet Dillon, the Department of Justice, Civil Rights Division, they've been fighting with recalcitrant states, that is, to get voter data to do essentially for the states what they're not willing to do for themselves, which is maintain accurate voter rolls. You know, the job of Secretary of State's offices, like that Mimbo we have in Illinois, Ali G. How's he doing? Anybody ask? Anybody concerned about Illinois' voter rolls? Particularly since we're one of those recalcitrant states. What Harmeet Dillon has said about what they found in the 29 states where they have obtained voter data and poured over said data. This was on Maria Bartiromo's show.
We found at least 350,000 dead people currently on the voter rolls in those jurisdictions. And we've referred approximately 25,000 people with no citizenship records to the to Homeland Security to look at, dig into that further and see the extent to which people voted.
Good start. We're sort of on the clock. But this is going back to what we were talking about a little bit with Stephen Bucci and the good senator from Connecticut and the left's penchant for projection. I'm going to characterize you as something that I am. I'm going to accuse you of behavior I am engaged in. Maybe we call it swallowing you. Swallowing you. Seems like a appropriate name to turn into an action verb with a negative connotation. So that's what's happening here. Trump is going to intervene and he's going to try to steal the midterm elections. He's going to send ICE agents and prevent people from voting somehow. If you're an American citizen, why you would be afraid of ICE agent milling about at a polling place any more than you would a police officer, I don't know. But, well, I do know. And so do you. And so does everybody with any sort of common sense. But they're rallying the faithful. I promised you this is, I wouldn't call this a protest song. It's a song of affirmation. It's an empowerment song from the left, from the men of the left. And apparently, I knew the song, but I didn't know why I couldn't place it. But fortunately, we have a K-pop aficionado. This is a style of music. K-pop aficionado and our executive producer, Quinn McCarthy, which is a little disturbing. Somebody who used to work at Legends, you would think he'd have more appreciation for music, but he knows way too much about K-pop. And anyway, this is to the tune Golden from some South Korean pop artist, songwriter who goes by Eunjae. Golden. That's the bed here. And this is the gay men of the left. I don't know if they're gay. I'm sort of assuming. Gay men of the left, we're going to vote choir. And, here's their offering. See if you like it. Here's the actual song, just to get a little riff on it for appreciation's purposes. So you get that sense. That's from Quinn's Spotify list. And this is that song. Okay, all right. Text from 773, 80% of the gay men I know are Republicans. Well, that's Illinois. A bit of an outlier. Glenn in Orlando, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning, Dan. So the Democrats say that Trump is trying to steal the midterm elections, but the Democrats are already stealing the elections because they allow non-citizens to vote. So what they're saying that Trump is doing, the Democrats are already doing. And to me, if you can't guarantee a person voting as a citizen, we should not certify the votes from that state at all. So this needs to be taken very seriously.
Thanks for the call. By the way, I mean, this is just too good not to share. There's a Twitter, an X person, X account. This chick who goes by M2 is her handle. It's at American_Barbie. Her comment on the video associated with the song you just heard of this chorus of men singing, "We're gonna vote, vote, vote." She posted, "This video is the leading cause of vaginal dryness." One of the all-time greats. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
President Trump has triggered a $200 billion tech disruption, and Wall Street is asleep at the switch. This $200 billion investment in chip technology could make today's artificial intelligence chips obsolete. Technology that will make today's AI data centers a thing of the past, like IBM's old mainframes. While most investors are focused on old-fashioned AI, there are three companies quietly building a $1 trillion triangle that could transform every tech sector on Earth. These three companies are gearing up to develop and manufacture supercomputers the size of a dinner plate. Institutions like Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street are pouring more than $200 billion into this AI revolution. Investment guru George Gilder has been predicting tech revolutions for more than 40 years, including the iPhone, Netflix, and Amazon. Now he's got his finger on three companies whose technology will change tech forever. Log on to TrillionDollarTriangle.com to find out which three companies are working on what could be the biggest tech disruption since the internet. TrillionDollarTriangle.com. That's TrillionDollarTriangle.com.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Airrite Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available, financing is flexible, and at Airrite, installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you and Airrite will give you $56 off any service. Visit Airrite Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Airrite Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
By the way, our producer Quinn also said the movie to which the song goes, the K-pop song, K-pop Demon Hunters, he said that's a good movie. You should see it. And he used the cover story that he has a 9-year-old at home, to which I said, please untie that 9-year-old. All right. Your family and friends love you, but they hate seeing you in pain all the time, especially heading into vacation season. Allow me to recommend my friends at QC Kinetics. They will take care of your pain and have you going on with your day. It's that easy. If you answer yes to more than one of these questions, then you're a great candidate for QC Kinetics. Do you have consistent joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or back? Does pain rob you from a good night's sleep? Are you missing work or saying no to activities you otherwise love doing? Are you taking painkillers? If this is you, then today could be the day you turn the corner and get real relief. With 5 Chicagoland locations and weekend appointments, QC Kinetics treatments are easy. They're done in the office. Consultations are free. I've seen the results, and I personally recommend QC Kinetics. So don't wait. This will be the most meaningful thing you can do for yourself and those who love you. Call now, 312-827-6261. That number, 312-827-6261. Once more, call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results. Done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com. And schedule your free in-home consultation today.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, at Evenings of Conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878. Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, top of the morning, a little bit more comedic stylings from a professional. Dane Frisbee had a good riff on what Hitler would be if he is around today. This is Norm Macdonald quality.
Imagine thinking you're a f***ing good person just because you're a vegan and that's the reason alone. A lot of people out there, they want you to think they're a good person just because they tick a few boxes. Do you know what I mean? We shouldn't trust these people. Hitler was a vegan. He was also an artist. He was also into fashion. He took a few drugs. Wasn't into God. Obsessed with politics and wouldn't shut the f*** up. If he was around today, he'd just be a university student. With blue hair and pronouns, Adolf his her. Just f***ing screaming at a protest. Same sign, f*** the Jews.
Zing. Or he'd be a rural election inspector in the state of Pennsylvania. Meet Stephen Fritsch, if you want even less confidence in the integrity of elections.
Hello. My name is Stephanie Fritsch, and I'm going to be 100% blatantly honest about what's going on with me. The main thing is, I realize people say I look like a man, and also they realize that, they're saying that...
Yeah, he is a man, dude. And like the song, you got to see the video.
Will Iran show up? I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News, that is the big question. As U.S. negotiators head to Pakistan after President Trump posted on Truth Social, no more Mr. Nice Guy. If Iran does not agree to a deal, the bombing will resume, knocking out every single power plant and bridge. Fox's Matt Finn's in Islamabad.
Security is tightening on the ground here, a so-called red zone forming around a perimeter of the area where the second round of peace talks are expected to happen. But to your point, we don't necessarily have a time and day yet for these talks. State media associated with the Iranian regime claims Iran may not send a delegation here to Islamabad as long as that U.S. blockade remains in the Strait of Hormuz.
That is after the U.S. intercepted a ship, the first one in this blockade of Iranian ports. Iran calls it armed piracy, vowing to retaliate.
CENTCOM announced that U.S. forces seized an Iranian-flagged cargo ship in the Gulf of Oman after it tried to breach the naval blockade. President Trump announced the seizure on Truth Social, saying, quote, the Iranian and crew refused to listen, so our Navy ship stopped them right in their tracks by blowing a hole in the engine room. Right now, U.S. Marines have custody of the vessel.
That's Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. A mother is in critical condition in Shreveport, Louisiana, the morning after she was shot, along with her 8 children who all died. The gunman was the father of all but one of them. Police killed him after a car chase. Another woman was also critically wounded. And while we await an update from police on that, a disaster in Pennsylvania has left more kids dead.
Pennsylvania State Police say they responded to reports of a house fire Sunday night in Lamar Township, Clinton County, where 7 people were trapped inside. The house was fully engulfed when firefighters arrived, and everyone inside was killed. 34-year-old Sarah Stolzfus and her 6 children, ranging in age from 3 to 11.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. In northern Japan, that's a tsunami warning siren after a powerful earthquake off the coast, but no big waves came ashore. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It is 39 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Governor J.B. Pritzker has ramped up his campaign for new housing here in Illinois, and he expects taxpayers to pitch in. Jim Talamonte has more.
After announcing the Building Up Illinois Developments Plan during his budget address in February, the governor urged support for it on Friday at the City Club of Chicago. Pritzker said most of the build plan would not cost taxpayers anything.
The build plan also includes about $250 million to help spur development of housing and help people to afford housing.
Illinois Senate Republican leader John Curran said the governor needs to roll back expensive mandates like requiring electric vehicle plug-in stations in the garages of new housing units.
This is just increasing the cost on homeownership. If the developer, we need to leave that decision to the developer.
I'm Jim Talamonte.
A woman has been killed in a hit-and-run accident. Police say a 65-year-old woman was killed after she was hit by someone driving a red pickup truck as she was walking in the crosswalk in the 3100 block of North Central last night. The driver of the truck fled the scene. There were no other injuries, and police have no suspects in custody. And police are looking for a man suspected of attempted sexual assault. Police say a woman was riding the CTA Blue Line Saturday when she was approached by a man who attacked her. The suspect fled the train at the Austin Avenue stop. Police are describing the suspect as a black male between 40 and 50 years old, approximately 5'6" with a medium build. That incident is the second such assault in the past week. News is a service of American Beam and Steel, structural repair licensed contractors for your home and business. Search for American Beam and Steel online to schedule your consultation directly with the owner, Mark. American Beam and Steel. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes, but time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Crude oil prices are higher this morning. Stock futures are lower, with investors following the latest Iran conflict developments. The major averages closed at records on Friday. Building supplies company QXO is getting even bigger. It's buying insulation company Top Build for $17 billion. QXO says it's now a leader in supplying roofing, waterproofing, lumber-related building materials, and now insulation. Google is believed to be talking with Marvell Technology about developing new chips for artificial intelligence. The information says Google's been pushing to make its processors a viable alternative to NVIDIA's. And Tesla will be operating robo-taxis in Dallas and Houston. It's already running the cars in Austin, Texas. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
Hugh Hewitt defends the president.
And so all those presidents you mentioned, they all said Iran couldn't have a nuclear weapon. Well, now we've gone after their nuclear capacity once. They began to rebuild it again. We went after it a second time, and they closed the Strait of Hormuz. So they escalated. We have to control the ladder of escalation. I don't see an alternative. What was the president supposed to do? Let them rebuild it?
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Alex Marlowe at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
This Mother's Day, give mom something that shines as bright as she does. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. Roland's Jewelers is the perfect place for a gift to make Mother's Day unforgettable. Roland's has such a beautiful selection of jewelry, and I'm a longtime customer of Roland's. I love this place, and I want you to make mom feel truly special with a stunning Simon G necklace, a Roberto coin bracelet to match her style, or sparkling diamond stud earrings. I love that Roland's is family-owned, and I appreciate their expertly trained sales specialists specialist. Roland's will help you find that perfect gift because mom deserves jewelry she'll cherish forever. Visit Roland's Jewelers, downtown Libertyville, or RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS, RolandsJewelers.com. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust this Mother's Day, like I do. RolandsJewelers.com, or call them 847-918-7300, 847-918-7300, Roland's Jewelers.
Now, this 25th anniversary of 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation remains committed to honoring the heroes shaped by that day. Heroes like NYPD Detective Victor Vargas, a U.S. Air Force veteran who died from pancreatic cancer after serving in the World Trade Center recovery efforts. Tunnel to Towers honored Detective Vargas by paying off the family's mortgage. You can donate $11 a month, and you can amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Progressive presents Heroes That Keep Truckers Going. Today's hero, the Rest Up Bathroom Custodian. Is there toilet paper? No. Paper towels? No. Clean stalls? Also no. But the soap dispenser is full, and that counts for something. Thanks, hero. Know what else keeps truckers going? Progressive's expanded cargo protection through their enhanced Cargo Plus coverage. Get a quote at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms, limits, and conditions. Not available in California.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hackberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Not too bad on the Edens. It's 17 minutes both ways from Lake Hook to Montrose and 46 minutes in both directions on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange. You've got 46 in, 36 out on the Ike from Wolf to the Old Post Office. We are jammed inbound on the Stevenson between Parliament Avenue and Kenzie Avenue with a collision at Kenzie Avenue. So we're looking at 51 minutes from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound is 34, 29 in, 11 out on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Inbound in the express lanes hitting those brakes between 47th Street and the Stevenson. You are jam-packed northbound Lakeshore Drive between Bryn Mawr Avenue and Hollywood Avenue, and the Jane Addams very slow eastbound between Meacham Road and Route 53. This report is a service of the AM 560 store. Order t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Croft University and the Sean Thompson Show when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Airrite Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 54. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 46. Tomorrow expect pleasantly warm weather with periods of clouds and sunshine. An afternoon shower may occur with a high of 74. Wednesday will also be pleasantly warm with partial sunshine and a high of 73. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I love this conservative news porn. Chicago Teachers Union under fire. Under fire. For using a school day for politics? Under fire from who? Under fire. They have command control of the government schools in Chicago and the rest of the state of Illinois. And barely a whimper about it. I mean, not from inside the state or inside the city, certainly. Please. Maybe from, outside observers who don't understand Chicago and Illinois. Yeah, so May Day, which is an important holiday, it's their July 4th, talking about the teachers union. Chicago Government Schools Teachers Union. It's an important day, May 1, May Day, International Workers' Day, for apparatchiks like those who populate the Chicago Government School Teachers Union. And they wanted to have a day of civic action and defense of public education. They wanted that day off. Formally, they take many days off informally, most all of them. Formally, so they could focus on their Marx Engels reader and their Das Kapital, and they're grooming the next generation of apparatchiks. They call them activists. Let's call them what they are. Fortunately, they were able to forge a compromise with the management, such as it is, of CPS. So school will go on, but the district will provide buses and food and stuff for the kids to attend a rally directed by the teachers' unions, the Chicago Government School Teachers Union, of course. And why not? That's how it should be, because Stacey Davis Gates, the CTU commissar, rightly notes that the CPS kids are their kids. That's how she views them.
The attack on the idea of community is exactly the point. Take, for instance, all of the right-wing outrage over my sister, bilingual music teacher and unionist Kat Zamarin, one of the speakers at our November rally. She quotes brilliantly and perfectly American philosopher James Baldwin. Baldwin says, the children are always ours. Always. Always. Every single one of them, all over the globe. And what comes next is, CT, you think your children are its children. Yes, we do.
Yeah,
we do.
Yes, they do. That's right. Yay!
We do. CTU thinks all children belong to it, and there's socialist conspiracy ideology. Well, I don't know about all that, but we like children.
Yeah.
We educate them, we nurture them, we protect them, we support them, we negotiate for them, we create space for them. We even have them in our homes.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, yeah.
But for real, you guys, in community, we belong to each other.
For real. For reals, they do. Yeah. Her children. Now she sends her children to private school, but that's neither here nor there. Chicago Government Schools Teachers Union VP Jackson Potter, he's an out and proud communist. If we still want to have democracy in the midterms this November, public schools that provide our students with quality education, I'm not sure which schools he's talking about, but anyway, provide our students with quality education and unions to defend workers' rights, and then it is up to every Chicagoan to stand up for what they believe in and show the authoritarian billionaire in Washington that when he breaks every rule, we will not go along with business as usual. Yay! Yes. Government union workers of the world unite against the authoritarian billionaire in Washington. That's what we're talking about. That's how we do's it in Chicago. More on the topic. Pleased to be joined by Josh Weiner, Chief Strategy Officer at North American Values Institute, and a Chicago resident. Well, you know, Josh. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
All right. So you heard Stacey Davis Gates. They're children, keeping it real. And, May Day activities is just more keeping it real.
If keeping it real is attacking parents' rights, then that's correct.
Well, that's your characterization. They are just celebrating. They're being in community with one another. And they want the kids to be civic oriented, they need the kids to stand up to the authoritarian billionaire in D.C. just like they do.
Yeah, I mean, this is a major problem. And look, they're getting more and more brazen, and the last few months has been an indication of that. It started actually right after the United States took action against Iran. The teachers union sponsored a Hands Off Iran protest that they joined along with Leninist, Marxist groups like the Freedom Road Socialist Organization and even the Palestinian Youth Movement, who are tied to terrorist organizations. And, I have a whole litany of things that they've been involved in around this May Day stuff. But, the population in Chicago is actually getting fed up with this. A February poll shows that the unfavorability rating of the CTU, which this is really new for them to be very seen as unfavorable, is 27.5%. Over 53% see them as unfavorable. 27.5 have a favorable opinion. So, I think this is coming to bite them. And I think we may see a different reaction when it comes to elections, especially relative to the candidates that they support in the city.
Boy, you're a lot more optimistic than I am. I mean, yeah, there may be some discomfort or even opposition, but boy, I don't see a lot of people kicking up any dust to do anything about it. Not in terms of political candidates, whether they be aspiring or currently ensconced in public office, starting with the mayor, starting with the governor, starting with the political power structure. I mean, do you really see anybody willing to step out on CTU even for something like this?
Yeah, I do. I see 6 or 7 school board members who are opposed to what's happening. I see a coalition of aldermen in the government who are moderate Democrats who have a respectable opinion of this country and are for democracy, that have been pushing back against the CTU and Democratic Socialist interests in the city. And look, the reality is that they have power right now, so it seems a little bit, it seems a little bit hopeless. But what has actually happened here is it's gotten so bad that Democrats have created a chasm where there's people pushing back. So I think this is going to get better. Brandon Johnson is not liked, even amongst people who used to like him. And, we're going to need a little time. Elections are going to need to happen. But as they keep doing these things, I think they're just inflaming the situation even more. Look, they are using kids as political props. And, they have a whole litany of issues in this May Day resolution spanning from LGBTQ rights, Black and brown people, eroding protections from non-Christian communities, taxing the rich, voting rights, AIPAC, Lebanon, DEI. How do 8-year-olds make decisions that they are pro or for all of these things all at once? They just aren't. And I think parents know that. And there's teachers and parents that don't like this. And I think there's a lot more than we see.
Yeah, maybe. I'd love to see, forget the kids, I'd love to see how many CPS teachers could locate Iran or Lebanon on a map. But, I digress. That LGBTQIA 2S+++++++, that whole thing, you guys have been on that too, in terms of the inculcation of that into curriculum. But that's something that has been in Illinois, is now mandated statewide. So you can't limit it to CPS and CTU, can you?
Look, there's got to be changes at the state level, that's for sure. And the same dynamics that we're seeing at the city level, they're starting to formulate at the state level as well. I think look, when you're a politician and you have to make a political decision, and it's unfortunate that that's how it works, but that is politics. You have to look at who is funding these leaders in the government, and it's been CTU. They've really backed the power base. That it used to be a patronage system where it was the Democratic machine. Now it's the Democratic Socialist machine. But the more unpopular they get with the voters, the less power they have, and the more willing politicians are going to be to push back. So, we look at culturally responsive education, which is where a lot of this identity first type of curriculum comes in. It's just getting implemented this year. It was voted in 2021. We're going to be lobbying to take a look at that. And, some of these other things around, especially, they had a curriculum fair here just recently. They were, putting LGBTQIA, alphabet soup curriculum in front of preschoolers. And, even if you're for this stuff, it's just not appropriate for 4-year-olds. There is just a time and a place to have this conversation, and it's probably around the time that standard sexual education is going to be happening. So, I just think even for people who are for this stuff, it's getting to the point where it's just not good for kids, and it's getting away from parents' ability to manage what their kids are exposed to.
What about the what about the scholarship piece too? You know, the national tax credit is part of the BBB that we've talked about on the show intermittently. Even Jared Polis, the Dem governor of Colorado, said, "Well, yeah, of course I'm going to opt in because it's free money. Why wouldn't I take free money that provides scholarships for lower income kids to have the same school choice that richer kids or more well connected kids have?" So I mean, it was, basically that's the proper commonsensical formulation, but that evades the comprehension of Pritzker and the political class here. I wonder if that's something that maybe a coalition could be built around to put some pressure on, to impose some costs on people like Pritzker for being in the pocket of the teachers union to the detriment of families and kids to have better educational choices.
Yeah, and Dan, what you're talking about, it's literally free money. People can give a scholarship donation to an education institution of their choice for a student, and it's completely a tax credit. So it's just free money from the federal government for education. So anytime anybody does this, it's like just found money that comes into the Illinois education system. So it's a crazy thing to be against. And look, it threatens ETU's power, because if that money goes to private schools, then that's school choice, and they're cursory against school choice because it influences their ability to have power in the state. So look, Susana Mendoza came out in support of it, and there's people around her that also believe it. But at the end of the day, she doesn't make the policy around this, so we'll see. Yeah, actually, Susana Mendoza is kind of interesting. She could be, she's not a candidate that a lot of people are talking about, but she could be actually sort of a centrist-ish, I'm really stretching the definition of that word, but relatively speaking, candidate for mayor next go-around. She's somebody that I think could shoot the gap in a crowded field, but I digress. But Susana Mendoza is somebody to watch, and positions like that make her palatable to those who are not criminally insane. Josh Weiner is the Chief Strategy Officer at Northern American Values Institute. He's also a Chicago resident. Josh, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Dan. Would love to get back sometime.
For sure. And he joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
Salem Surround. Is your business hard to find online? Meet with a digital marketer today for ideas that will make your business stand out. Visit salemsurround.com.
Platform safety is so important in your industrial facility. You need to keep personnel safe and meet OSHA requirements. Experience one problem with your platforms, and you could be facing costly fines or worse. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to keep your employees safe.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. As a metal fabricator, I know the importance of keeping your workplace safe. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor, uniquely equipped to design, fabricate, and install safety equipment including steel catwalks, handrails, stairways, and ladders. Our team of union building trades mechanics can inspect existing systems, engineer solutions, fabricate quality steel products, and install it all, creating a safer workplace environment.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free inspection of your building. See what else they can do for you. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS industrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
AM 560.
The Answer.
Dan Proft here. So Pope Leo on a plane clarifying some of his remarks that were taken as critical of Trump. I think doing a little de-escalation here.
There's been a certain narrative that has not been accurate in all of its aspects, but because of the political situation created when on the first day of the trip, the President of the United States made some comments about myself. Much of what has been written since then has been more commentary on commentary, trying to interpret what has been said. Just one little example, the talk that I gave at the prayer meeting for peace a couple days ago was prepared 2 weeks ago, well before the president ever commented on myself and on the message of peace that I am promoting. And yet, as it happens, it was looked at as if I was trying to debate again the president, which is not my interest at all.
Okay. Not as interested to debate the president, trying to address a, quote, narrative that has not been accurate in all of its aspects, unquote. J.D. Vance responding, I'm grateful to Pope Leo for saying this. While the media narrative constantly gins up conflict, and yes, real disagreements have happened and will happen, the reality is often much more complicated. Pope Leo preaches the gospel as he should, and that will inevitably mean he offers his opinions on the moral issues of the day. The president, the entire administration, work to apply those moral principles in a messy world. He will be in our prayers, and I hope that we will be in his. Okay. All right, everybody's playing a little bit more nicely. And that brings me to this. This is a good little inversion that a comedian named Drew Dunn did. We spent so much time last week talking about Trump's perception or promotion of the idea that he is Christ-like. Drew Dunn, comedian, who, he's not quite Sean Farish in terms of Trump impersonation, but it's not bad. But the bit is, if Christ were more Trump-like.
I don't think Trump is Christ-like, but I think it'd be funny if Christ was Trump-like. I could feed a lot of people with this fish. It's a big fish. It's a beautiful fish. It's a bronzino. There's the fish up front. It's a very expensive fish. You've probably never heard of it. They hung me on the cross, these nasty people. Would you believe it? They hung me on the cross. I'm not going to say it was the Jews, but they were there. They were definitely there, those Jews. I remember them being there. They hung me on the cross, and the fake news didn't tell you it was a capital T. I would never be hung on a lowercase t. That's extremely disrespectful. It was a capital T, and after that was R-U-M-P. It was the opening of my first building in Bethlehem. They really...
That's good stuff. Greg in LaGrange.
Morning, Dan.
Morning.
I understand that the Pope is trying to clarify this problem, and I understand that the press is terrible, and they'll do anything to gin up anything to just create controversy and keep the people up in arms. But that doesn't excuse the Archdiocese message that was sent out, Archdiocese of Chicago, to be clear, Joliet didn't do it, about how the Pope isn't political and we're not political, and that we want peace and we don't believe in war and we don't like to see people getting killed. Unfortunately, though, Dan, and I'm sure you know this as well as anybody, I don't remember any of these kind of clarifications when the Iranian students were being massacred and shot for protesting, or you had some of the atrocities that continue on in Africa occurring, or you have any other the violence that we see in our country because of the policies of that past administration that seem to want to undermine the principles of our republic. So I would just say if the church wants to get involved in politics, pay up, start paying taxes, because anything else that they put out this weekend was a veiled attempt to say, oh, no, we're not political, but we will be political. What do you call it, Dan? What was your favorite term that you like to use? Politicians in robes?
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Greg. I hear you. Jerome, Palos Hills.
Hey, good morning, Dan. I just wanted to know, going back to about the teachers, don't they have to have permission slips to take the kids out on a outing to protest, or, that's what I was wondering.
Permission slips from who?
You know how, like, when you used to go on a field trip in school, and if you want to take the kids out, you had to have a permission slips from the parents.
Parents?
And then sometimes...
parents?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. That's how my mind works. I don't know.
Yeah. Boy, I don't know. That's. Thanks for the call, Jerome. It's a good question. Parents and CPS. Huh. Gosh, I hadn't even thought of that. Coming up at 8:38, Nick Shirley tries to get some California legislators to take a position on the Stop Nick Shirley Act. It's fun. We'll talk benefits fraud in addition to that. 8:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 39 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Chicago's Inspector General says the city is owed at least $8.1 billion and lacks the tools to collect the money. A new report from Chicago Inspector General Deborah Weisberg says the city's finance department is responsible for managing the debt, but isn't well equipped to manage it. The city finance department has promised to address those findings. A woman has been killed in a hit-and-run accident. Police say a 65-year-old woman was killed after she was hit by someone who was driving a red pickup truck as she was walking in the 3100 block of North Central last night. Police say the woman was walking in the crosswalk when she was hit. The driver of the truck fled the scene. There were no other people injured, and police have no suspects in custody. And Chicago's Cinco de Mayo events have been canceled for the second straight year due to immigration fears. Event organizers say they hope to resume the parade and festivities once the community can do so safely and with peace of mind. This report is a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities, and special members-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlowe, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Goldberg's Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Donley Auctions.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results. Done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com. And schedule your free in-home consultation today.
On Salem News Channel, principled voices are shaping today's conversation. Scott Jennings brings clarity to the toughest debates. Josh Hammer's blistering commentary puts politics and culture on trial. And Alex Marlowe's insight connects us to what matters most. Watch anytime on Samsung TV Plus, Pluto TV, or find us on your screen at snc.tv. 3 new shows, 1 powerful lineup. Salem News Channel, across America.
From the leather aspect, leather has a lot of
natural characteristic in it.
Ben and Arvid Huth, brothers and owners of Penny Mustard Furnishings.
And the leather suppliers, they disclaim, right? This leather is going to have bug bites. It's going to have maybe barbed wire marks, what have you.
Branding. There's brands in a lot of the leather that comes from certainly out west.
Right. Where they're still branding cattle.
Where they're still branding cattle will have branding marks in it.
But if you just sit and watch a cow, she scratches on everything. They do.
Walking over to a tree and going like this.
Just like they're 1,500 pounds. They're pushing on that tree or pushing on that fence. You wonder why they got marks on their body.
I love that in leather. When I see a leather sofa that has natural markings in it, I absolutely love that.
See more at pennymustard.com.
That leather lives on for a long, long time with piece of furniture.
Right.
A long, long time.
Yep.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
Taking a look at the roads in the Team Hackburg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. 18 in, 24 out on the Edens from Lake Cook to Montrose, 41 in, 42 out on the Kennedy from O'Hare to Burn Interchange. The Ike is 47 minutes in, 29 out from Wolf to the Old Post Office. Still working on a crash inbound on the Stevenson at Kenzie Avenue. Delays start right around Harlem Avenue, so we're looking at 48 minutes inbound from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound is 38. You've got 27 minutes in on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Outbound is 12. The express lanes inbound. It's stop and go between 47th Street and the Stevenson. Also jam-packed northbound Lakeshore Drive between Bryn Mawr Avenue and Hollywood Avenue. This report is a service of Summit Racing Equipment. It's Car Care Month, and Summit Racing has what you need for bumper-to-bumper care. Revive the interior, exterior, underhood, and more. Shop summitracing.com. Use promo code RADIO for $10 off an order of $100 or more. Exclusions apply. Offer ends May 3rd, 2026. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Airrite Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 54. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 46. Tomorrow is expected to be pleasantly warm with periods of clouds and sunshine. An afternoon shower cannot be ruled out with a high of 74. Wednesday will also be pleasantly warm with partial sunshine and a high of 73. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, independent journalist Nick Shirley is trying to stop fraud in places like California, while California politicians are trying to stop Nick Shirley. We talked about this a bit last week with RearClearPolitics.com, Susan Crabtree, because she's folded into this doing some fraud investigative journalism work along with Chris Rufo and others at the Manhattan Institute. More and more people are populating the space, and that's good because we need a lot more hands on deck, which is why, if you're a government employee or adjacent to one in Illinois and you have any knowledge or you feel energized to go out and, do the same thing that you see Nick Shirley and Nick Sorter and Chris Rufo and Susan Crabtree and others doing, which is just take a list, FOIA, take a list of providers in a certain space, home health care, spin the wheel, home health care, hospice, driving services, all the things that you've seen in other states that have been corrupted by fraudsters and politicians, and I repeat myself. And knock on some doors. FOIA some documents in terms of spend. It's amazing what you can do when you follow the money and you start asking some uncomfortable questions. Dr. Oz made this point in a sit-down he did with Katie Pavlich. I mean, just in terms of what they've done to stop providing funding to hospice providers in California. This is really interesting. Some 400 plus hospice providers are cut off. And the thing that Oz found that was so odd.
I argue that if you take a child with autism and you give them the services they need, you're doing a great service. It's the right thing to do. We're great people. We'll always help folks in need. But if every mother is pretending, because they're getting paid, that the children in the neighborhood have autism, which is bad for those kids, by the way.
And you're seeing that.
And we're seeing that in Minnesota. You take a budget from $3 million to $400 million. You do that by creating programs and manufacturing services that aren't supposed to be used. But what you're doing is you're hurting the child who really has autism because they can't get access to services, and you're corrupting the entire system. We're seeing the same thing in California with hospice, where you have 1/3 of all the hospices, Katie, in the entire country are in Los Angeles, not California, just L.A. I mean, how many people are dying there?
Yeah.
Right? So you obviously have allowed
a little bit of a
corruption.
red flag.
And I'll make this announcement on your show, we have stopped payments to 450 hospices in California. Guess what? Not one has called us asking to reinstitute them.
Wow.
They may change their minds over time, but in 10 weeks, we've shut down 450 payment systems to these guys. That's representing at least $600-700 million just this year.
They won't change their minds. They'll just change the names of their businesses and do it again, I'm sure. See if they can get away with it again. But, yeah, it is telling. 450 stopped the spigot, turned off the spigot to 450, and nobody complains that they don't have water. Very interesting. They know the jig's up. It can be done in Illinois, and you don't need to wait for Nick Shirley to come to town. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, answer line and text line. And as I said, while Oz doing that, in part, with help, thanks in part to the investigative work of Nick Shirley out in California. Nick Shirley is trying to get legislators to explain to him why they want to stop Nick Shirley. Don't you want taxpayers' money to be used for the intended purpose, the stated purpose? And interestingly, the familial business of politics is not something that's limited to Illinois. It turns out the Attorney General's wife is an important legislator in the California Assembly.
The bill AB 2624, why would you sign off on that? It's a direct violation of the First Amendment, and it makes it harder for people to expose fraud here.
We have Ledge Counsel. They check the constitutionality of all our bills as we're writing them. I work on fraud issues. You'd know that if you look at some of the work I did on the budget subcommittee.
Amazing. So Mia Bonta, her husband's Attorney General of the Attorney General of California, and it was only until I exposed fraud that they actually cracked down on the fraud and made some arrests here, especially with the hospices. And do you know that if this bill were to pass, it'd make it illegal for someone to go after fraud, especially if it's based off of immigrants, for instance, the Armenians in California?
No, I think that that's a misinterpretation of the bill, but I'm happy to talk with you more about it. And
as she's
scurrying
away.
Into fraud or something that's been happening for a very long time. The Attorney General handles those cases. This is an ongoing issue.
It's a little weird that the wife of the Attorney General, Mia Bonta, is now pushing this bill that literally goes against the First Amendment.
No, I actually don't. I don't think that this bill violates the First Amendment. I mean,
really?
that's the whole purpose. We have Ledge Counsel and Ledge attorneys that talk with us about this. Constitutionality is really important to the work.
So your bill criminalizes publication of images recorded in public. Do you believe the government has the right to punish journalists for filming in public space?
No, I think that is a complete misinterpretation of actually the piece of legislation.
That is not. That's literally what happened. Speaker Rivas, how are you doing? What do you think about the Stop Nick Shirley Act, AB 2624?
I don't know anything about it.
And do you think there's any conflict of interest there with Mia Bonta and her husband being the AG? That just shows you everything you need to know. These people won't even answer the questions.
Yeah, you can. He does a handful of these, and another portly female legislator just, waddling down the sidewalk, eating some sort of pastry, and just ignoring him and his questions. Why do you want to stop me? Don't you believe in the First Amendment? Shouldn't journalists be able to film in public spaces? Don't you want to interdict fraud? Yeah, sort of obvious questions. It doesn't take a particularly talented or intrepid reporter to come up with and ask these mediocre intellects in public office, for goodness sakes. That's what I'm saying. I mean, Nick Shirley is doing a lot of the dirty work, and good for him, but it's not like it's complicated work. Now, the thing I will say, where it gets a little bit more serious and perhaps has more of a chilling effect, not just legislators trying to stop you by name, but also Shirley talked about, death threats he's received and people trying to dox him at the hotels he's staying at and so on and so forth. So it can get violent out there because, remember, the left has a penchant for violence as the means to political ends. So it is not without peril, and this is why Nick is often meandering about asking impertinent questions with a bodyguard in tow. That's probably wise. Maybe this will generate some greater interest, even in California. This reporting by Matt Finn about a fraudster who is running C3, supposed to provide meals for homeless people. But instead he was providing a Range Rover and a vacation house in Greece for himself. On its face, unremarkable and unsurprising. Just another example, another area where fraud is replete. Despite Gavin Newsom's promise way back when he was mayor of San Francisco to remedy the homelessness problem there, and then when he became California governor, of course, remedy it statewide. That's not happening. Of course, it's exacerbated. The story has a twist to it that may be something that actually generates the interest from, the otherwise lobotomized secular humanists meandering about, bumping into one another.
Say this man was contracted with the city and county of Los Angeles to house and feed up to 600 homeless people, but instead he was misusing tens of millions of dollars to live a luxurious life. Exclusive Fox video shows the Fed's early morning bust here at the L.A. mansion. 42-year-old Alexander Suker was arrested. Suker's $125,000 Land Rover was also seized by law enforcement. The Fed say Suker defrauded the city and county of L.A. out of $23 million in taxpayer dollars for not only his mansion and car, but a second home in Greece, luxury vacations, designer clothes, and private schools.
He was living the high life, while the people suffering homeless on the streets with no
US
shelter,
attorney.
No food, they're living out in the streets. People are literally dying. And this guy is out vacationing, buying homes, buying Range Rovers, and going shopping.
Prosecutors say Suker was supposed to provide 3 nutritional meals a day to the homeless, but during one inspection, Suker only had canned beans and ramen noodles on hand. The feds say Suker lied about various aspects of abundant blessings, including fake vendors, facilities, and the homeless actually getting meals. The U.S. Attorney's Office in L.A. says they are actively investigating at least 12 other similar fraud cases here in California.
Of course they are. And I'm sure they're just scratching the surface because nobody's been doing much on this for quite a while in places like Minnesota, California. Dare I say Illinois? 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, answer line and text line. But the wrinkle to this is, okay, so this isn't homelessness in providing meals to the homeless. Okay. A worthwhile endeavor, if you actually do it, rather than steal government money to enrich yourself. Therein lies a problem. But one of the problems, the spin-off problems associated with the homelessness problem in L.A. and California generally, but of course big cities, it's more pronounced. Animal abuse. Dogs in particular are being abused. Homeless people are using dogs to test drugs for them on Skid Row in L.A. Another nonprofit group, apparently not a fraudulent one, called Starts With One Today, that's the name of this group, says dogs are being abused, thrown away, sold for drugs, neglected, and fed drugs to make sure there is no fentanyl in the drugs. Animal advocates like this Starts With One Today organization are ripping Commie Karen, Karen Bass, the mayor there. Maybe she's not there. Maybe she's in Ghana on another fact-finding or economic development mission. I don't know, but she is still the mayor. ripping Commie Karen and other elected officials for not taking enough action. And they have video that shows these dogs in cages and looking malnourished and pretty haggard, and some staggering around like they're on something that they shouldn't be on. So maybe the inclusion of animal cruelty can get LA residents and California residents a little bit more excited about the work that Nick Shirley is doing. So much so that they maybe say, you know, Nick Shirley shouldn't be silenced. And why are my representatives trying to silence this kid who's just asking questions about fraudulent nonprofit operators, or apparently fraudulent nonprofit operators that are stealing everybody's money? I still think this issue, I mean, you know, in states that are so failed as California, Illinois, New York, but they can't bring themselves to make those sorts of admissions, the majority of the populace, you know, I don't have much hope in the short term. But I think this issue is so endemic, system-wide, federally backed. The moral hazard is the same everywhere. So you have perhaps a higher concentration of bad actors in places like Illinois, New York, and California, but it won't be exclusive. I still think this issue has real political power if you have more U.S. attorneys around the country, with perhaps some leadership from Todd Blanche or whoever the new attorney general will be, the permanent replacement will be, some direction to say, really dig in on this stuff. We're going to have a bit of a competition to see who can claw back the most money on a per capita basis or whatever most money that's been frauded. Get taxpayer money back. The BESIN program, too, where you're given 30% incentive for whistleblowers. You get 30% of what you help the government recoup. Let's get, a little bit more organized and energized around these sorts of investigations. I think it has real political power. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Mike Lindell and the MyPillow employees want to thank you for your great support this past year. They want to make 2026 the best year ever. So to thank you, they are giving you free shipping on your entire order and wholesale pricing. So they are bringing back the mega sale. For example, the classic MyPillows, regularly $49.98, now only $14.98. Turn any mattress into the best mattress ever with the made in the USA MyPillow My Mattress Topper and save up to $100. Get a set of MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets for as low as $29.98, or the 6-pack towel set for only $34.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY, or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. These offers won't last long, so call 800-489-0201 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. Order now and your entire order ships absolutely free.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Scott Bartmus, co-founder of ESCO, a security and fire alarm services business and a customer of Signature Bank. We work hard to give our customers peace of mind, so it's nice to know that while we have our customers' backs, partners like Signature Bank have ours. When COVID hit, there was a lot of uncertainty for many businesses, particularly surrounding the PPP loan program, with parameters and deadlines changing constantly. The executives from Signature Bank worked weekends alongside their staff, filling out and submitting applications to ensure they took care of us. That type of dedication is hard to find, but we found it with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560. The Answer.
Bill and Waukegan, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to ask, do you think, Nick Shirley's just going to get a big contract from one of these he's like Fox, and then go under the auspices of the Fox reporter, but not necessarily as Nick Shirley when he tries to uncover fraud and everything else that's going on in these United States. Because I tell you, the more I listen to the reality of what's going on in all those states, I don't know. It's like I want to leave here, but I don't know where the great alternative is. It just seems like we're going to hell in a handbasket. Thanks for taking my call. I'll wait for your answer.
Thanks, Bill. Well, I mean, some places, some of the laboratories of democracy are operating better than others. That's for sure. I think Nick Shirley probably stays independent. Why wouldn't you? I mean, the audience that he has now, the following that he has, it's probably a better and more lucrative than tying your wagon to legacy media, which Fox still is. So I'd stay independent if I were him. That's probably what he'll do. Speaking of fraudsters, Ilhan Omar, Brotherly Love Spice. She had a real downgrade in her estimated net worth. Remember all the controversy and the headlines? Ilhan Omar's now worth $30 million when she came to this country penniless and so on and so forth. Well, that was never exactly true. It was a range of $6 million to $30 million. We talked about it on the show. But it did reflect a massive increase in net worth since she got married. And the valuations on these two businesses of her husband, some soy boy named Tim Minette, a winery and a venture capital firm. I mean, the valuation of his stake just skyrocketed, particularly the winery, in a way that was difficult to believe. Well, the reason was it was difficult to believe. The reason was because it was wrong. That's why it was unbelievable, because it shouldn't have been believed. An amended filing, in terms of her financial disclosure filings that she's required to do as a member of Congress, shows the couple's assets to be not between $6 million and $30 million, but between $18,000 and $95,000. That's quite the rounding error. But no, of course we trust her with other people's money. The accountant is saying, or they're saying on behalf, first of all, she didn't know anything because she just relied on her husband's account. She doesn't know anything about these businesses, and whatever the values are is whatever she told him the values were based on the accountant, and that's what was reported. So she always said she was never a millionaire, and she certainly is not, and neither are they together. This is, first of all, they suggest that they responded and made this correction immediately when it was brought to their attention. This has been something that's been languishing for months now. And then the other explanation they gave as to the accounting error, quote unquote, was they forgot to include liabilities in estimating the worth of her husband's stake in these two businesses, the winery and the venture capital firm. I mean, I don't know. Which lies do you want to believe? The inflated lies or the deflated lies? I mean, we need a forensic audit of Ilhan Omar's, the couple's holdings before we worry about, I don't know. The frauding that's going on under her watch in Minneapolis, in Congress. Good grief. These people. Thanks for joining us on another edition of Chicago's Morning Answer. We'll be back with more at the appointed hours, 5 a.m. tomorrow. It is now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Will there be more talking or more bombing? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. We don't know the answers yet. As a spokesman for Iran's foreign ministry said today, Iran may not show up for the next round of negotiations in Islamabad after the U.S. military seized an Iranian cargo ship.
All of this is evidence that the United States apparently does not show seriousness in the diplomatic process.
As Iran's military vows to retaliate.
Reports indicate top IRGC commanders are